Donald Trump has always been a draw, attracting a crowd in Davos, even for a virtual appearance.
The EU treats us very, very unfairly, very badly. They have a large tax that we know about, and a VAT tax, and it's a very substantial one. They don't take essentially don't take our farm products, and they don't take our cars, yet they send cars to us by the millions.
He dangled offers of tax cuts for businesses that move to America and offered hope, but no detail of peace in Ukraine.
Is it not true that right now as we speak in the UK, citizens are being imprisoned for exposing horrifying crimes committed by Muslim migrants? Crimes that the government seeks to conceal? Or didn't the bureaucrats in Brussels suspend Romania's elections simply because they didn't like the party that had won? Faced with each of these discussions, wokeism's first strategy is to discredit those of us who challenge these things.
Guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. It's Sunday, which means we're going to take you all around the world with the latest news, which is going to cover a lot of Davos, the World Economic Forum. Trump making waves. He did not go in person.
No.
I'm glad he didn't, because then all the demons get on you.
Yeah.
So he didn't go in person, but he did a video. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say call, but it was a call. I think it wasn't pre-recorded. It was like, wasn't he like actually like talking supposedly almost like a Skype like thing?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And it was pretty good. So we, Trump again calling out everybody with their whole "you're not paying your fair share" and all this, that, and the other. But then also we've got Javier Milei. I went to make today's show, and I'll let you in on a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. Michelle, why do your thumbnails always look so similar? Well, because for about 2 or 3 years, I would start with a blank template every single time we went to do a show. And then, like 2 or 3 years, I guess I should say, once I really started doing the in-depth thumbnails. And then I started doing searches for similar topics. So you'll note that like sometimes when I talk about Elon Musk, if you were to ever go back and look at another thumbnail of Elon Musk, it may look similar because I may grab that same one. And so I went to, and I put in Davos, and the thumbnail from last year was literally Javier Milei calling out the globalists.
No way.
That was the main thumbnail from last year. So that was our title a year ago. So apparently
he's on a roll.
Milei loves going to the WEF. And calling it out. And so we're going to play a lot of that, which is already pre-translated for us, which is awesome. So Leah and I don't have to stumble over our words. So we've got that. We've got Davos. And then we're going to bring back the Southport killings. Nigel Farage is calling that out again. It's been one of those very George Floyd type moments for the UK, and people are still upset about it.
Well, 3 girls were stabbed and a bunch of adults, and I think it was like 180 some odd times. And they were told not to jump to conclusions. They were told not to say it had anything to do with immigration, and they were told it had nothing to do with race. And people were rightly upset because this happened in a community where so many people were touched, and the stories that were coming out was that he was a black immigrant who was radicalized, and it was terror.
Yeah.
And people were rightly upset. They were calling out open borders.
How can it not be terror, by the way? Like, you don't just randomly kill little girls. There has to be a motive, like most of the time.
Yeah, well,
There has to be a motive. Like usually it's you're going to take them back to your lair and rape them and whatever. But this was just a blatant going just specifically to kill little girls. I'm not sure that in like the history of modern news, we've ever even heard of something like that happening.
it's
Usually
hard
it's
to
a
wrap your
kidnapping.
brain-
You know what I'm
it's hard
saying?
to wrap your brain around, yeah.
So, not to switch to really good news from that because it's heart wrenching and hard to do. However, I am very excited about one of the stories today, and I wish that it was the main story. And I'm looking forward to more of the same. Trump had a phone call with Nayib Bukele. We're gonna get them together. Nayib Bukele from El Salvador. Now, if you will recall, we were super excited about a Bukele and Trump partnership. When Bukele was inaugurated for the second time, Don Jr. went down there, Tucker went down there, and it seemed like Bukele's all mega. And of course, if Bukele is mega and all the mega people love Bukele, then Trump's going to love Bukele. And then all of a sudden, someone planted some little rotten seed in Trump's ear, and Trump all but called out Bukele in a speech for what he was doing to crack down on the gangs. But thankfully, I think that has been resolved. And by the way, Bukele took the high road on that. Do you remember that? When he was just kind of like, I'm not going to say anything, still going to support Trump kind of deal. I do. So proud of him on that. And he just waited because I think he knew. And here's the thing, guys. This is so important. Bukele listens to Holy Spirit.
The Holy Spirit, yeah.
And what you see with a lot of these feuds on the internet from people that you love is one person does one thing and the other person just reacts in their flesh. We see this consistently with Candace Owens and all of those types of people, Mike Cernovich. They just react in their flesh. They have no listening to Holy Spirit. But Bukele listened to Holy Spirit, took the high road, and just, I can guarantee you the Holy Spirit said, just wait. And now both Trump and Bukele are going to work together to stop the gangs, which I'm super excited about. I wish we could just do our whole show on that. I think it's just excellent news. And I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of the relationship with Bukele and Trump, not because Trump will benefit Bukele, but because Bukele will benefit Trump.
That's really good. No, that's really, really good. So yeah, let's dive into a few of these stories. I guess the IMF chief tells Europe's Davos elites, let's be more like the U.S. As the European economy continues lagging behind the United States, the head of the International Monetary Fund told the Davos elites the time has come for Europe to collectively look across the Atlantic and follow the U.S. lead as it grows in confidence daily under the leadership of Donald Trump. There was much gloom in Europe, losing its competitive edge at the WEF in Davos this week. At the forum's closing panel focused on the global economic outlook, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva suggested a change in attitude to tackle the issue is needed as Trump settles into the White House once more.
You want me to play that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sam Altman, who is the ChatGPT guy, really rubs me the wrong way. OpenAI is his AI company. He's the most famous AI CEO. And he said that, I love this quote. He says he regrets being a NPC during the last administration.
Non-player
NPC
character.
means non-player character, sort of a video game expression. And Altman says that he regrets that he was not involved. He wished he was involved. He's going to be involved now. And he's on the Trump side. Look, I don't like the corporations, and Altman scares me, and his stuff scares me. But we'd rather have them trying to kiss Trump's butt rather than them trying to oppose Trump. Them opposing Trump did not go well. That's what Google was doing. That's what Facebook was doing last time around. And it didn't work out for us. It worked out very poorly.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, you absolutely can.
I would love to comment on that. I 100% disagree, and I know a lot of you guys are going to agree with him and go, Leah and Michelle, see, I told you. That's what we've been saying. Okay. So,
I regret being involved. I regret being anti-Trump, but now I would like to, it's like, I'd like a place at the table now.
So Alex Marlow is essentially saying it's better to keep your enemies close, right? Yeah. That type of thing. I don't ever agree with that. So nowhere in the Bible does God say, make sure you keep Satan close. Keep your friends close and Satan closer. Like, that's not generally anything that I have ever read in the Bible. And so what we're looking at here is now that these people, he's like, we would rather have them on Trump's side than to have them opposing Trump. The statement, Alex, is wrong. What you're seeing is it's not that they're on Trump's side. It's that Trump has moved to their side. Mm-hmm. And that is why we have a problem. Mm-hmm. So they're not opposing Trump because Trump is not opposing them. And that, my friends, is what I've been trying to say on this show, where guys, you're like, no, it's fine. It's good for these people to finally want to be on Trump's side. That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at Trump being on their side. He's literally on their side, doing the things that they want. Of course, they're not going to oppose him when he's doing what they want. He's like, we would rather them not oppose Trump. Well, if not opposing Trump means that Trump is doing what they want, then are we what?
So I guess the Dirty Davos, there's a particular escort agency that actually, I guess, provides women and trans women prostitutes, and they say
women and what?
Trans women, prostitutes.
To who is getting the trans
to the
people?
Yeah, I guess they're up a lot this year, 300 prostitutes so far, and I guess they're going to make about $1 million on that.
Leah.
Yeah.
Is that an article?
Yeah, it's from Breitbart.
Record number of female and trans escorts hired at the WEF. Wait, like we're gonna bring this article up so you can know we're not lying. Why? Trans? Like and even just regular escorts. Like, you don't need a date to the conference where you're taking over the world.
I know, but it's not. It's prostitution, and yeah.
I get that it's prostitution, but what I'm saying is they cover it up by just saying, no, you need somebody.
Yeah. Well, let's go listen to the rah-rah Laura Ingraham here on the Trump at Davos. Then we'll give our own little spiel.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle, and thank you, as always, for joining us. Trump zooms Davos. That's the focus of tonight's angle. The Bond villain behind the elite's annual gathering in Davos is obviously nervous. Klaus Schwab kicked off the annual confab by trying to reassure attendees that they still run the show.
The world faces critical challenges. Extreme weather events, misinformation and disinformation, increasing divisions within societies, within countries. The future is shaped by us, and particularly shaped by us here in this room.
Shaped by us in the room.
She can't help it. Nobody can help it.
You have to.
Can't make this up. This is the epitome of uninformed arrogance. But he's just another globalist mastodon on the verge of extinction. But still, let's compare the response to Trump at the World Economic Forum in his first term to how he was received today. It was quite something to behold.
Of course, I'm aware that your strong leadership is open to misconceptions and biased interpretations. Therefore, it is so essential for us in the room to listen directly to you. The importance of American leadership and your personal leadership is fundamental and paramount. We are here to hear your vision and policies related to revitalizing the economy and addressing the global challenges.
Well, so it goes from tolerating Trump at Davos, that first soundbite, to kind of, well, acknowledging grudgingly that he's a force to be reckoned with. It's quite the change in tone. But this morning, Trump treated his Davos appearance kind of like a Zoom call with a message to clueless Klaus.
I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress.
It was so refreshing to watch from beginning to end. It was Trump's message stood really in stark contrast to the Davos dimwits on almost every issue. And remember, they are not going to stop fighting as much as they can to destroy gas-powered cars, the entire oil and gas industry.
Our fossil fuel addiction is a Frankenstein monster, sparing nothing and no one.
He said fossil fuel.
All around us, we see clear signs that the monster has become master.
Ooh, lofty rhetoric. But the real monster scenario is found in the world where they have all the power and individuals in free nations are forced to submit. Well, Trump's going to have none of that.
I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it.
Greenheads were exploding from the Swiss Alps to China. Of course, China is banking on its ability to totally annihilate the American automobile industry by sucking us all into electric vehicles. Now, on trade, Trump was just as blunt.
The EU treats us very, very unfairly, very badly. They don't take our, essentially don't take our farm products, and they don't take our cars, yet they send cars to us by the millions. They put tariffs on things that we want to do. We have, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars of deficits with the EU, and nobody's happy with it, and we're going to do something about it, but nobody's happy with it.
The agenda is now and always will be America first.
My message to every business.
You can pause that. And I'm going to tell you what really stuck out to me there. You know, the Trump with the tariffs, that's a good thing, but on the surface of it, you know, a lot of people are upset. They're worried that the tariffs will cost more in imported goods. Now, I'm going to try to break down an economy for you guys into something very simple for you to understand. There are prices and price differentials around the world. Somebody living in the Philippines, that's why people say, hey, why don't you go retire in Mexico because your dollar will go farther there? Or the problem is if you say that, that's fine for you, but other people are living less. Okay, so if you if you're going to be flooding somebody else's market with something cheaper, okay, then you're actually going to be destroying that local economy. And we talk about this all the time with Mexico. Well, we haven't in a while, I think, on our show. At one point, Mexico and South America, they lived on corn. Corn came from here, from the Americas, okay? And the Indians obviously lived on corn. Well, it's not the corn that you and I eat today. It's not the popcorn. It's not the GMO corn. It's not even the sweet corn that you and I recognize. It's more of the cornmeal corn.
Like bread.
But it's what you see, the Indian corn, when you go and get your corn from the pretty corn that you put out during the holidays.
They had such a variety of
They had
types
200
of corns.
varieties of corn. And it's heirloom corn, and it's non-GMO and could grow very well in the soil. And we've seen a lot of documentaries, and I probably should bring some up to remind you guys, just so you can see that they had a love relationship with the soil and God, okay, and corn. And that's how they lived. And the corn was grown by local farmers who supplied it to local to feedlots, for local hog growers or even cattle or chickens or cornmeal, okay? Well, those particular businesses also hired people, and that you had a pretty thriving economy. If you look at some of the old movies, Casablanca, things that were movies that were made in the 30s and 40s, you'll see that South America they were all pretty much booming countries. Now communism took over, but at the same time, in the 80s and 90s with NAFTA and free trade, what happened is we flooded their markets with cheaper corn. Okay. And it destroyed their entire economy. And in order for us to, properly send people back down south, you have to remove the fact that our farmers are growing corn and soybeans at record pace. And they want an outlet because our government told farmers, grow fence row to fence row corn and soybean, and then we will get your corn and soybean out. Why did they do that? Because they were paid by lobbyists from Monsanto and these GMO corn producers. Every time you drive past a cornfield, you see a sign. And it's like Premier One or they're Monsanto signs saying that we essentially, you are allowed to grow this corn, but it's ours. And you will not be saving any of this seed. You're going to buy it from us. You're going to stay our slave. And then we flood the markets with our stuff. If I cared about Europeans, and I do not take our farm goods. Don't take a lick of them. Don't do it. You guys have banned over 2,000 ingredients and chemicals and things like that we don't have here. Don't take our products. And I would say this to Trump. Listen, Trump, I love our farmers. Tag's a farmer, and Tag and Becky. We've got to find a way in the power of God and the power of the Holy Spirit to get our farmers to be growing more naturally. Okay. And so to Trump and to his message to, they're not taking our farm goods and they're not taking our vehicles. Well, guess what? Maybe that's a good thing, because actually that's what you want to do with tariffs. You want to support, and Mexico should have had tariffs on corn to support their native populations.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say to that. And then obviously the drill, baby drill, and the oil. And, here's the thing. Sometimes your enemy will say things and the devil will say things in such a way that there is some truth to it. So they're calling oil a monster, but they're creating another monster in the background. So this is Godzilla meets, what's his name? What's his name? Godzilla is the
and then we went the ape.
Yeah, what's his name? King Kong. Godzilla meets King Kong.
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
All right, you want to go back to Trump here?
I think we might have played a little bit. Go ahead. I'm looking for Milei's. Go ahead.
On day one, I signed an executive order directing every member of my cabinet to marshal all powers at their disposal to defeat inflation and reduce the cost of daily life. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam.
Okay, we saw that.
Withdrew from the one side.
So we didn't see the beginning of that.
See, I got to find Milei here. I think I just sent it to you.
He spoke for 30 minutes.
I got a clip.
It was a really long speech. You have a 23-minute clip?
Which one did I send you?
Mine was a really short one.
It's a really good one.
You want me to pull it up?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Oh, I know where it's from. Go ahead.
Is it not true that right now, as we speak in the UK, citizens are being imprisoned for exposing horrifying crimes committed by Muslim migrants? Crimes that the government seeks to conceal? Or didn't the bureaucrats in Brussels suspend Romania's elections simply because they didn't like the party that had won? Faced with each of these discussions, wokeism's first strategy is to discredit those of us who challenge these things. First by labeling us, and then by silencing us. If you're white, you must be racist. If you're a man, you must be a misogynist or part of the patriarchy. If you're rich, you must be a cruel capitalist. If you're heterosexual, you must be heteronormative, homophobic, or transphobic. For every challenge, they have a label. And then they try to suppress you by force or through legal means. Because beneath the rhetoric of diversity, democracy, and tolerance that they so often preach, what truly lies is their blatant desire to eliminate dissent, criticism, and ultimately freedom, so they can continue to uphold a model in which they're the main beneficiary.
That's really good.
Oh my gosh. It turns out that his speech went on for a half an hour and covered topics. I want to see what he has to say about abortion, terror attacks and abortion. He praised Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, Giorgia Meloni, Viktor Orban, and Nayib Bukele.
That's awesome.
Slowly, an international alliance has been formed of all those nations that want to be free and believe in the ideas of freedom, turning his sights On the Davos conference, which he was addressing, Milei said, "I must say, forums like this one have been propagandists and promoters of the sinister agenda of wokeism that is doing so much harm to the West." He told the audience of global business and political A-listers, if we want to change, if we want to truly defend the rights of citizens, we have to start by telling them the truth. And the truth is there is something deeply wrong with the ideas that have been promoted in forums like this one. He said the mental virus of woke ideology was the great epidemic of our time that must be cured. It is the cancer that must be removed. Among other things, he hit out on what he called invented quotas creating under the guise of diversity. His comments on this come after his American ally, Donald Trump. So I want to see what he said on...
He also said wokeism was to blame for turning migration policies from those which focused on attracting foreign talent to those which promote mass migration, not by national interests, but by guilt. He described images of hordes of immigrants abusing, raping, or killing European citizens and declared that people did not question this for fear of being branded as racist. Taking aim at feminist beliefs, he claimed that women are valued more than men and also labeled abortion a bloody and murderous agenda. He hit out at the use of gender blockers in children, describing it as a criminal ideology and saying their victimhood is covered up in accusations of homophobia or transphobia and other inventions.
So if you go to my Twitter, he hits out at radical feminism here. I just tweeted this out. Pretty good here.
I'm so proud that he is just so fearless. And I think that like being a soccer player actually gives him a little bit of that fearlessness, if I'm being honest. Like I'm not a soccer fan. But you can't go out on the field. Like soccer is a kind of a brutal sport. Like you don't think that it is, but it is. And I think that actually has helped him be so fearless and be willing to take people on.
As a result of not knowing what the market is, or as a result of having fallen in love with a failed model, you are opening up the doors to socialism and condemning people to poverty. However, faced with the theoretical demonstration that state intervention is harmful and the empirical evidence that it has failed couldn't have been otherwise, the solution to be proposed by collectivists is not greater freedom, but rather greater regulation, which creates a downward spiral of regulations until we're all poorer and the life of all of us depends on a bureaucrat sitting in a luxury office. Given the dismal failure of collectivist models and the undeniable advances in the free world, socialists were forced to change their agenda. They left behind the class struggle based on the economic system and replaced this with other supposed social conflicts which are just as harmful to life as a community and to economic growth. The first of these new battles was the ridiculous and unnatural fight between man and woman. Wow. Libertarianism already provides for equality of the sexes. The cornerstone of our creed says that all humans are created equal, that we all have the same unalienable rights granted by the Creator, including life, freedom, and ownership. All that this radical feminism agenda has led to is greater state intervention to hinder the economic process, giving a job to bureaucrats who have not contributed anything to society. Examples, ministries of women or international organizations devoted to promoting this agenda. Another conflict presented by socialists is that of humans against nature, claiming that we human beings damage the planet, which should be protected at all costs, even going as far as advocating for population control mechanisms or the bloody abortion agenda. Unfortunately, these harmful ideas have taken a strong hold in our society.
So I just pointed out to Leah that that was from last year. Still worth watching because Milei's amazing. But I was just watching. I was like, wait, that's from last year.
But the reason I played it is the articles from 25. He must have hit at it a second time because in his speech he called it. This is from the Daily Mail. Yeah, calls it a bloody institution again.
No, I love it. I love it. Like I said, when I did the same thing when I went to look for Davos. What comes up is Milei. Milei's making waves. I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, he did it last time, and now he's doing it this time. All right, so there was a phone call. as long as we're in South America.
Let's go to that phone call.
Trump held a phone conversation with Salvadorian counterpart Nayib Bukele on Thursday, in which he celebrated Bukele as an example for his peers and promised to support his efforts to stop organized crime and illegal immigration. So this is an about face. I think he got Bukele mixed up in his speech, and it was really weird. And now hopefully we're back on track. Bukele was the second world leader that Trump held a conversation with.
Wow, that's awesome.
After the Saudi Arabian conference. What does that say?
Got to get the oil, baby.
Trump had also held a phone conversation with Xi Jinping shortly before his inauguration on Monday and hosted 4 world leaders at his inauguration. Milei, Maloney, Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa, and the Paraguay president. Okay, there you go. Bukele was reportedly invited but did not attend. No foreign leaders had ever attended an American president's inauguration before this week.
What?
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Trump has notably prioritized these phone calls over conversations with leaders in Europe, a sharp contrast with Joe Biden. Trump and Bukele maintained friendly ties during the first term. Bukele openly lamented that El Salvador's relationship with America deteriorated significantly under Biden and was all but openly supportive of Trump during his 2024 campaign, asserting that Trump would win the election and that the legal attacks against him would help him build the best campaign ever. So let me see if we can translate this tweet that he tweeted out on the 23rd. Today, President Trump held a call with President Nayib Bukele of the Republic of El Salvador. The two leaders discussed working together to stop irregular migration and crack down on transnational gangs like the Tren de Aragua. How do you say that? Aragua. Yeah. Just. Yeah. Aragua. Aragua. Okay. President Trump also praised Bukele's leadership in the region and the example he sets for other nations in the Western Hemisphere.
So you know what I love about this? I just need to point this out because South Americans are just a different breed of people. Nayib retweets this with a little kissy emoji. Little kissy face emoji. So funny. So I'm really excited about this. I wish there was more to actually talk about. What else is in the article? Is that it?
Trump has been largely complimentary of Bukele with the exception of comments this summer in which he appeared to indicate that Bukele had only succeeded in eliminating gang violence in his country by exporting gang members. And this is, remember, he said that in El Salvador, murders are down 70%. Why are they down? Because that was a mistake.
That was a mistake, Trump. But Trump will never admit that it was a mistake, but he'll just kind of move to...
Yeah, and then he, in an interview with Tucker Carlson, Bukele says that MS-13 actually was founded in the United States and their members deported to El Salvador during the term of Bill Clinton. In response to Trump, however, Bukele, said taking the high road. And now he congratulated Trump on his victory and said, may God bless you and guide you. So that's good stuff. All right, so Canada's conservative leader... Poilievre, this is how you deal with the trans question. This is hilarious to me. The deadpan on his face would ask about the fact that Trump is declared. Now this is kind of an interesting sticky point. Trump declaring 2 genders, because the Biden administration had allowed people to do transgender-y weird things on their passports and things. So that has to be undone somehow,
right?
And then how do you deal with passports internationally? So he's asking Pierre Poilievre on if Canada is going to say there's 2 genders.
On his first day on the job, President Trump signed an executive order, the U.S. government only recognizing 2 genders, male, female. They're unchangeable. If elected as prime minister, is that something that you're going to kind of walk in line with, or what are your feelings on that executive order?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other genders that you'd like to name?
Me personally?
How does he keep his truth face?
Yes.
I'm just asking more so if you're in line with what he is saying. Do you agree with what he's saying? Is that something that you would be lockstep with if elected as prime minister?
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women. I mean, if you have any other that you want me to consider, you're welcome to tell me right now.
Well, there's personally, I am a man. I am
Okay.
People who say
This
cis
is
man.
embarrassing.
There are people there who, they
He's
say they're
starting to crack his
gender
mouth.
neutral.
Well,
you are a man. Yes. There are people there who say they're gender
He
neutral.
broke-
Yeah,
he
they
broke
say they're
character
gender
for a minute.
neutral.
He's laughing now, look.
They're a trans person.
Now he has to
Is
be
that
serious
something
again.
that you would recognize here, whereas in the States, at least with their U.S. government,
Take a deep
the way
breath.
they're seeing it, there's only two.
I'm only aware of two, but I mean, if you come up with another list, then you're welcome to do that. But I'm aware of two, and as far as I'm concerned, we should have a government that just minds its own damn business and leaves people alone to make their own personal decisions. That's the kind of government I'm going to run.
And with that, the current government, they currently have passports that allow people to put on, gender neutral on their passport. Advocate groups want the government, mind you, the outgoing government, to ask the U.S., would the U.S. recognize these passports, obviously on their way out, if you are the next prime minister? Is that something that you would advocate for?
I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I have to be honest with you. I just saw your segment on homeless encampments that are popping up all over Toronto. We've got 25% of our population in poverty. Housing costs have doubled. Crime is rampaging through our streets. I just find it to be a strange priority to spend time talking about this. My priority is to give people back control of their lives, bring back Canada's promise that anyone who works hard gets a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods. That's the promise we need for Canadians. If Liberals want to talk about different labels for gender that they want to put on passports in the United States, they can do that. I'm going to talk about the things that will bring home Canada's promise.
Go get him. I love that.
I happened to notice there with Pierre Polivier, and I just noticed these things. He has a little gray here, but he seems dark on top. Now, I would say this, Pierre, if you are graying, just own it.
I bet he is owning it. You think he's coloring his hair?
It kind of looks that way because it looks like extra dark.
I don't know.
And then there's gray right here.
No.
No, I don't think he's owning it.
I think he's owning it.
I think he's
He's
dying
letting
it.
it go.
I think he's dying it.
I love that from him so much. And you know what? This is where, the Bible talks about answer not a fool according to their folly. And Jesus did this all of the time. I mean, every once in a while he would answer them, if I cast out Satan by Satan, then who are your people doing it with? Like that kind of thing. But most of the time, the appropriate answer is to not answer them at all. It's to call their bluff and to show them what they're doing. Literally, he has an opportunity. You know how short these interviews are on the news?
Yeah.
You've got maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe max 10 minutes.
Yeah, right.
And you want to spend 2 or
Going
3
back and
minutes
forth
talking
over
about
and over again.
labels when we've got people that can't afford to heat their homes in Canada?
Then you have wood.
And exactly. So I love that from him. I am so proud of him. He literally allowed it to go on for a little bit and then just said, no, hang on.
So if you go over here to GB News, this is Michelle Dwebbs here, and she's kind of dealing with the same nonsense, holding her line. And
Yeah, because
it goes on a very long time.
You can't allow these people. They'll take you for a ride if you give them an inch on these topics.
That's that. And it often comes into the conversation of protecting.
Who sits there and goes, what if someone does this?
When we talk about the changing rooms debate is a perfect example of this. The conversation around
Why should I, as a female, be forced to get changed in front of a male?
Because then this is, again, the conversation about where you view gender and somebody's right to self-autonomy.
I've got no interest in how someone views their own gender. My question was, why should I, as a female, be forced to get undressed in front of a male?
But if we're referring to a trans woman, then that is a woman.
No. A trans woman is a biological male. So I'm asking you again, why should I, as a female, be forced to get undressed in front of a biological male?
Right, but if somebody has a gender,
answer
for
that
example,
question.
Well, nobody's making you do that.
Yes,
Michelle.
you do. There's cases going through the courts at the moment. I can think of one such case in the NHS where some nurses are taking action because they were forced to share a changing room with a gender-neutral changing room where there was what you call a trans woman, i.e. a biological male, using those facilities. So, yeah, it actually does happen.
Right.
So I ask you again, why should I, as a biological female, be forced to share and get undressed in front of a biological male?
No. I will say trans men are men, trans women are women. That is my opinion, and I think that we need to respect
So we haven't answered it. So basically what you're saying is I, as a biological female, have to get changed in front of some fella because you say the label is...
That transgender people are... Do you think that trans people exist? Like,
I think that what you call a transgender woman absolutely exists. I don't think it's a figment of your imagination, but I think that they are categorically, biologically male. So therefore, they cannot and should not be able to access female-only spaces. Lots of women like me do not want to have to get dressed and all the rest of it in front of biological men. Yeah. This is not a controversial view. We have single-sex spaces for a reason. We have an epidemic of male violence against women and girls. We fought hard to get our single-sex spaces. We deserve those single-sex spaces. Those single-sex spaces are often responsible for keeping us safe. And many of us, and there's women that will disagree with me, and I respect that, but many of us do not want biological men in our spaces, our private single-sex spaces, and nor should we have to have them there just in order to satisfy other people's descriptions.
Right, well, I suppose we're going to have to agree to disagree there, Michelle, but what
but we always have to agree to disagree, but it's not you that then has to get changed in front of a man.
Right, but
you would, because you're in that man's changing room, but you get what I mean. It's not you that has to then get naked and get changed and get undressed in front of someone of the opposite biological sex against your will. It's always us women that have to suck it up. Okay, and a lot of us, by the way, are fed up of it, quite frankly. Are you or not? Lots of you, by the way, will be fed up with the whole discussion, going, oh, what are you doing, talking about this issue again? Move on. I hear you, and I am going to move on.
I love her so much. Like, that is awesome.
I hear ya.
Now,
I am going to move on.
I want to address something that, like, I don't ever hear talked about, because he said to her, no one is forcing you to do that. Mm-hmm. No one's. So when you say get changed in front of, okay, you know what I love? I love bathrooms that are literal bathrooms where you walk in. There's a stall, there's a sink, there's a trash can, toilet paper holder, and the door closes. Like, the whole, that's it. That's what's in there, okay? It's a room, okay? It's called a bathroom, all right? I don't like the idea of having public bathrooms where the man uses that bathroom and the woman uses that bathroom, but it happens because there's, like, a lot of spaces where it's like, we only have room for one bathroom, and the only reason why I don't, and please don't take this wrong, men's bathrooms smell. There are men that, I don't know, miss the toilet, can't figure it out. We don't know why men's bathrooms are really gross. Maybe it's just because they don't have people that clean them. I don't know, but there's that aspect of it. That, to me, I really don't care about, okay? It's fine. I don't mind sharing a bathroom space where a man will use the same space, because my home is like that. A man can use my bathroom space at home. Doesn't bother me. Totally fine, okay? But what I never hear in these discussions is the fact that every single public bathroom space that I have ever been in, there is a 1/4-inch crack all around, and at the bottom and at the top. Like, anybody, if they wanted to, could literally put their eyeball up to, and then what's more, when you come out of that space, you are now in an enclosed space with somebody that is biologically stronger than you and walks around with a biological weapon, which is what my mom always calls male anatomy, that men always walk around with a weapon because they have the strength and they have the weaponry to overpower a female. So everyone wants to say, like, that dude that was sitting there with the earring making this argument, like, it's all about how you feel, and how you feel should dictate. But why is it that you cater to the feelings of one, but you don't cater to the feelings of the other? And I'm just going, like, it's not a matter of somebody forcing you to change in those spaces, but, like, let's think of, like, even like a dressing room at Kohl's or something like that, okay? You walk in there and the doors don't close super tight. Like, people could bend down and they could look, they could reach up and they could
really
look.
it's like gym.
I get that. I get that part.
Okay.
But in that sense, someone may say what my brain as logic would say is just go into a stall and change yourself. No one is literally forcing you to stand there and get naked in front of a man, right? But I want to take it further than that because it's more than that. We don't have these individual spaces where people can't just look through the holes. It makes me uncomfortable to use the restroom in the women's restroom, knowing that there's somebody that's listening to me pee right next to me.
I think that also she was mentioning spaces like at the NHS in there when they have to go and change their scrubs. There's no other stall. It's just an open space. You just change. There's nowhere to go.
Right.
There's literally nowhere to go.
Right.
Well, I think this is probably a reason why Farage's Reform UK is actually leading in the polls for the first time. Literally leading in the polls. If there was a general election now, Nigel Farage, Reform UK, would take 26% of the vote, followed by the Conservatives at 23% and Labour at 22%. Says a new poll. The pollster notes that while Labour and Conservative support has fluctuated over the past 3 months, Reform UK's rating has only climbed in their surveys, rising steadily. So here, Nigel Farage is saying Reform leads for the first time in national opinion polls. Very, very big deal. All UK pollsters have slightly different polling methods. So I think this is probably one of those moments. This is a historic moment. Farage's Reform Party is now larger than the centuries-old Conservatives Party. It's now bigger. Now, does that equal votes? Does it equal seats? It depends. It depends on where the numbers are, because you could have a lot in one area and not a lot in another area, and the way that just kind of like we have seats that are, given to certain populations. But I also think, and this is kind of one of the big stories of today, another reason is the grooming gang scandal that. The only party that says they're going to do anything about it is Reform UK. And so I want to play this clip here by Majid Nawiz on the grooming gangs for a second.
The problem is multiculturalism in this country has failed. The scandal now, the current 2025 scandal, is the cover-up. Because the cover-up was orchestrated because Keir Starmer, local police and local councils and social services didn't fail. They didn't. They were complicit. This was an organised operation, not just on the street level with the British Pakistani gangs, but actually this organisation went through into the police, into the councils, and into the care workers. You acquire this compromising material over politicians like Lord Nazir Ahmed, hang it over them and say, I've got this on you, you need to do what I say.
What's going on in these communities that this is even happened?
This is a problem in Pakistan, this is a problem in Afghanistan, and it's now a problem in Britain. By the way, there's a methodology to it. The thing you're worried about is going to come back with a vengeance if you don't speak the truth. Your desire to burn the country over these sorts of issues are founded on what? If you don't accept the traditions and culture of this country, you're engaged in subversion against this country. The failure of multiculturalism, integration, citizenship, Muslim belonging in Europe. It's got to a point now where we can't escape this question. We're literally at that decision point. Is there going to be a civil war, and do we all kill each other, or do we figure out a solution?
Wow. So Majid Nawiz was a radical Muslim. He actually went through a de-radicalization program. He needs to know Jesus, and I hope he does come to know Jesus because he gets unhinged on a lot of crazy stuff. He is actually being interviewed by Winston Marshall. You can find him on Twitter, and you can find him on YouTube. Just Winston Marshall, Marshall. He is who's a former band member of Mumford & Sons.
He was interviewed by Glenn Beck recently.
And he is. He's a conservative. I believe he's a Christian. And he is interviewing Majid there in a really powerful interview, which I haven't watched yet, but I think I will now. But in addition to the grooming gang scandal that is just now getting started to be talked about again in a way, it's never been talked about in a way that's right. You've never been allowed to really speak about it. And unfortunately, you do have a lot of people who get overly zealous and they sound very racist, and they get so fed up they just say, "Well, just get them all out." And with the Pakistanis and the Afghanis in particular, because Majid just admitted that it's part of your culture, then you do have to.
Yeah,
you really do. I don't see the people from India and the Sikhs doing that. So it has nothing to do with just immigration in general. And it was a scam. It was accepted in their culture. Now, we were told that to just forget about these 3 little girls that were stabbed to death at a Taylor Swift party. Just forget about them. Don't talk about them. Don't get angry. And the young man was a choir boy. And we are going to do a little deep dive into that right now. It has come out. He has been sentenced. And it has actually, the sentencing of this radical Muslim young man has actually brought up questions about whether the UK should have the death penalty. He is now life in prison with no way out, which is what you have to do with somebody like this. But in other cases of terror, I don't see how you can have parole for somebody like that.
Hello, mate. Just had a message there off a pal of mine who's got 2 brothers in strange ways.
Oh, wait,
2 lads
I
are
don't
in
know if
for
I want
murder.
that one. No, don't play that one. Sorry, that one, I'm not sure. I haven't fact checked that. That one's going around. I guess, you know what? I want you to go to, let's go to this one first.
And both her and
Timestamp?
No.
Start over?
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome along. Today, Axel Rudikabana, the 18-year-old son of Rwandan immigrants, pleaded guilty to murdering 3 little girls, attempting to murder 8 other children and 2 more adults. He also pleaded guilty to the production of the chemical weapon ricin and the possession of a terrorist training manual. I'll just start with this. How was the murder of those little girls and the attempted murder of everyone else not a terrorist offence? How can it be that the Crown Prosecution Service and police know he's got a manual literally called Military Studies in the Jihad Against Tyrants, the Al-Qaeda Training Manual, as well as ricin in his bedroom, and not put 2 and 2 together and say that he's committed a terrorist attack? Why was it months before the police came out and said this?
2 further offences relate to evidence obtained by Merseyside police during searches of Axel Rudikabana's home address as part of a lengthy and complex investigation which has been ongoing since the 29th of July. The additional charges are the production of a biological toxin, namely ricin, contrary to Section 1 of the Biological Weapons Act 1974, and possession of information, namely a PDF file entitled Military Studies in the Jihad Against the Tyrants, the matter for which Axel Rudikabana has been charged under the Terrorism Act does not require motive to be established.
So they say they can't prosecute him for terrorism. Well, I must say, I think that seems a bit weird, especially when you consider this, because Callum Parslow attacked an Eritrean at a migrant hotel. He had Hitler's signature on his arm, and he tried to post a terrorist manifesto on social media. That was classed immediately as a terror offence. Does it not seem like the authorities have done their best to make sure Axel Rudikabana's case could not be seen as a jihadi terror attack? This brings us on to the next idea of a cover-up, doesn't it? Just an idea. We were initially told that Rudikabana was not known to authorities, but that is not true. He was referred to the Counter-Extremism Prevent programme 3 times, and police had visited his home address on numerous occasions. He had a history of violence. He was expelled from school. He attacked another pupil with a hockey stick. The police must have known this when they were telling everyone to calm down, that he's just a quiet Welsh choir boy. And crucially, at what point did Sir Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper know, A, about his troubled past, and B, that he'd been found with a jihadi terror manual and ricin? Did they know when they went and did this?
Time for change, Starmer. Come on, needed. How many more children? Is it mine next? Got your photos, off you go. Make a real change, Prime Minister. Get something. Make a real change! Get children! Go away!
I just found out my friend's 9-year-old daughter was killed.
You don't want this!
Did they not know that they weren't just dealing with a nutter with a knife, that this had all the hallmarks of an Islamist terror attack? Now, the day after the attack, Starmer said that he'd been briefed by police.
To get a briefing from the Chief Constable and the emergency services about the ongoing investigation.
So, it seems he was briefed by police. Well, what did the police tell him? And then let's just add to this perception of a cover-up, it's just a perception, that we were all shown this picture of Axel Rudiker-Barner, weren't we? There he is. And then today, after he's pleaded guilty, we finally get the mugshot. Now, a bit of a difference there, isn't there? A bit of a contrast. Why was the media and the public denied that picture until now? Does that not indicate that there's an attempt to portray him as a young, angelic-looking schoolboy instead of the evil, demonic monster that he so clearly is? Interesting, too, is it not, the fact that there's been quite a lot of debate about the timing of the trial. When it started, on the same day as President Trump's inauguration, the biggest news day of the year, and the fact that there was no indication that Rudiker-Barner would suddenly change his plea at the last minute. For some, particularly as the victims' families weren't even in court today, by all accounts, it all seems like an extraordinary coincidence, that, doesn't it? Equally, it seems unlikely that anyone would have predicted his last-minute change of plea, so there is that. But now we're being told that that is apparently a good thing by the prosecutor.
The prosecution was determined to prove his guilt, and I am deeply grateful that today's plea has spared the families at the heart of the case the pain of having to relive their ordeal through a trial.
So now, Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, has come out and said this. We need more independent answers on both Prevent and all other agencies that came into contact with this extremely violent teenager, as well as answers on how he came to be so dangerous, including through a public inquiry that can get to the truth about what happened and what needs to change. But I hope they can look themselves in the mirror, frankly. I hope they can look themselves in the mirror.
All right, so you can stop him real quick, because this is quite disturbing, and I've got several more videos because a lot of people are talking about this. New information has come out that this young man was obsessed with school shootings. He had several interactions with the police, that he was known to them, and the fact that the UK has to have something called Prevent, which is to keep young Muslims from getting radicalized. It's all the way to the right.
Okay. I can't pull it up yet.
Okay.
I'll pull it up as soon as you're ready, because it'll start playing.
Keeping young people from being radicalized, you even need that to begin with. There's something very wrong.
This is Axel.
Not this one.
But you can play it. It's fine.
Okay.
That's one of them.
Rudiker-Barner on July the 29th, on his way to carry out a knife attack on a class full of young girls. At the bus stop, he paces up and down while phoning for a taxi. On that 5-mile journey, he's silent until the very end. When he checks, he's at the right address.
Every day. It's just number 34A, yeah.
After he refused to pay, the taxi dash cam records him approaching the door of the dance studio, looking to find his way in. We know what happened next. Inside, 26 girls were enjoying a Taylor Swift dance event at the start of the summer holidays, an event that had sold out. The girls were at a table making friendship bracelets when, without a word, Rudiker-Barner entered and grabbed the child nearest to him. He then moved on to a second and a third, lunging at them. Leanne Lucas, who was running the class that day, said she only realized what was happening when she felt a knife go into her back. Some people left the courtroom because the details of what happened here that day were so graphic. The court was played CCTV footage in which the screams of children can be heard. Leanne Lucas is seen trying to usher them to safety. One child tries to leave the building but is pulled back in by Rudiker-Barner. She was one of the injured. Deanna Here, KC, said the injuries sustained by 2 of the children who died could only be described as sadistic in nature. B.B. King, Elsie Stancombe and Alice Aguiar died in the attack. 8 other girls were injured. The court heard Rudiker-Barner's only intention that day was to kill. After he was arrested, he told police, "It's a good thing those children are dead. I'm so glad. I'm so happy." Among the weapons at his home, police found a second knife, identical to the one used in the attack. They also found evidence of his obsession with violence. In the dock, Rudiker-Barner began shouting that he was ill and needed to see a paramedic, with the families of the victims listening in court. When he refused to stop, the judge ordered him to be removed. We then heard from some of those whose lives have been changed by the events of that day, including one of the girls who was injured. The beginning of my nightmare, she said, started when I saw you. I thought you were playing a joke. I saw you in your green hoodie and face mask. The thing I remember most about you is your eyes. You looked possessed. You didn't look human. Leanne Lucas also addressed the court.
I cannot give myself compassion or accept praise, as how can I live knowing I survived when children died? The trauma of being both a victim and a witness has been horrendous. The impact this has had on me can be summed up by one word: trauma. He targeted us because we were women and girls, vulnerable and easy prey.
There was a statement from the parents of Alice.
Alice was always a very kind girl who valued equality and fairness at the core. A world of possibilities awaited her, a best friend anyone could ask for. We were so lucky and privileged to have her. Every day felt like a gift. In a matter of minutes, our worlds were shattered and turned upside down by the devastating attack on our Alice, a pin drop that changed our lives forever. We kept our hopes up every second during Alice's 14-hour fight, but once she had lost her fight, we lost our lives.
You can
And
pause
from
that there.
Elsie's mum.
I want you to play the one on the right to that after the Google search, I think. I want you to play this one. I think. So this is when Keir Starmer was blaming the far right. After all of this had happened, this horrible attack, people were rightfully upset. Over 1,000 people were arrested. And Keir Starmer going after. Go ahead.
And people were upset because it wasn't labeled a terror attack when it clearly was.
Yeah.
Sky News has, for the first time, uncovered and mapped the networks on Telegram, the encrypted messaging app where the flames were fanned and the riots were organised. We've been working with Pros, an open-source intelligence startup which has a deep penetration of far-right and conspiracist networks on Telegram, to find out who is behind the messaging.
One interesting thing we can see here, especially considering this is the first day, is that the source of most of the information that people are talking about on Telegram isn't British, English language communities.
The most widely shared content on Telegram during the initial 3 days of the unrest was primarily authored by non-domestic accounts from the USA and Europe. Sky News has, for the first time, uncovered and mapped
Okay, you can
the
stop
network.
that. You get the idea. That was their investigation. Their investigation was to go into the people who were upset.
Right.
Okay, over here. Yeah, it should be.
Steve's in Nottingham.
Other agencies.
Go ahead, Steve.
That came into
They all start playing at once.
Oh, good morning, Sir Mark. Thanks for taking my call.
Hi, Steve.
Hi. My question is, does he think the public should have been better informed about what the authorities already knew following the horrific attack in Southport?
Sir Mark.
Thanks, Steve. It's horrific, isn't it, the attack, and listening to the sort of remarks at sentencing and the experiences of the families and the victims is moving for all of us, and none of us can quite imagine what it's like to be in their situation. We have very strict contempt of court laws in the UK. As policing, we would always start from the principle we'd like to have as much information out as possible. But we work with CPS, they're officers of the court, and we have to make sure we don't undermine a trial.
Well, the Chief Constable of Merseyside Police, Serena Kennedy, who I imagine you probably know, you may
She's
know
excellent.
well.
She's really excellent.
OK, I'm glad you get that said, and I quote, "Since day one, we've wanted to say much more to show we're being open, but we've been advised throughout that we couldn't by the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service." How wise was that advice?
So it's, excuse me, so it's frustrating, but it is the law. So we shouldn't criticise CPS for insisting on the law. Now, there are countries where contempt of court laws are nowhere near this and you're able to talk more freely. But in our legal system,
But no, they've talked
police
about
or
terror
CPS had said
in all kinds of attacks.
loads more,
Exactly. Right after
there is
it
a risk
happened.
it would have undermined the trial.
Right?
And so I can understand that situation. I can
Like
understand
when a car drives through a crowd of
bomber,
people, they say that it's a terror attack
They
right
come
away.
and tell you pieces of the
This
story.
was a terror attack, exactly.
Right.
that advice. The Prime Minister's talked about doing reviews. I know the Law Commissioner looking at the law of contempt of court. I think in today's modern social media age where
Barry says that this guy needs to resign. He's a woke Met Police
chief. Give more details, yes, particularly to local people, about his religion, his crimes, a terrorist document and a batch of ricin that were found at his home. In the past, indeed in the Met area, possibly not on your watch, we have been informed. I'm reminded of the so-called Parsons Green bomb. We were informed quite a lot about the background there. This is totally different. I know it's not your decision, but it doesn't seem right, Commissioner.
So I'm not going to sort of...
Okay, you can pause them there. Let's go to the it beggars belief. This is one to the left.
There we go. Now, should we have a look at the Southport situation? Because it's just shocking,
it belies
really.
Belief sometimes.
New details have emerged about the Home Office missing several opportunities to identify the Southport child killer, as Mr. Rudakabana, as a terror threat.
Yes, it's all over the front page of the Sunday Times. It's pretty hard reading. It claims that the review has found that Rudakabana was referred to an anti-extremism programme 3 times.
3 times.
It's also revealed his obsession with mass shootings was dismissed by counter-terror officers as an interest in world news, that he wasn't in danger of being radicalised.
It beggars belief, doesn't it? It certainly does in hindsight. Political correspondent for The Spectator, James Heal, joins us now in the studio. I mean, yeah, is it a case of hindsight being 20/20, or is it absolutely unforgivable that these things were overlooked?
Well, this is what the review is going to find out. There's going to be a public inquiry and also a look by various levels of government at really what went wrong here. As you say, the Sunday Times has got this report done by the North West team of Prevent, and it looks particularly at the 3 different times that Axel Rudakabana was referred to Prevent, and on each occasion it seems that they were dismissed. Now, I think when we talk about sort of terror and how people become radicalised, we often think about ideology, the role of, you know, different philosophies involved, etc., but also this man seemed to have an obsession with just violence, and it seems ridiculous that authorities were willing to repeatedly overlook his rather perverse interest in terror incidents, different bits about how people have been killed, etc., in the London terror attacks, school shootings, and were able to dismiss that as an interest in world news. I mean, this clearly wasn't someone who was reading the papers every day. This was someone who was interested in some pretty sick stuff. And so Vivek Cooper, the Home Secretary, is very much leading into this and saying that multiple layers of the state have failed in all of this.
We know from interviews that were given after the sentencing that there were these various sort of conferences held between different agencies about him, and we were told with confidence that these conferences had taken place, but not what the outcome of any of it was.
Yes, and I think that's going to be one of the things that finds out. I mean, there's so many different strands to it, which is quite interesting. One of which is about him potentially having, I think it was an autism diagnosis, and actually Yvette Cooper is now saying that it needs to be looked at in terms of neurodivergent cases, etc. Does that inhibit discussion around this? You know, people often get things dismissed, etc., and therefore are those red flags being overlooked?
So many of the different authorities for involvement to health. From Britt Baza here. The Prevent program dates back to the last Labour government, but is a complete failure, as virtually every terror attack has been carried out by a person who has been referred to the Prevent program. So it clearly doesn't work. Somebody says from DLive, Robert Lowe is the man in the UK at the moment. Rupert. And this guy needs to resign. And he said that he is a woke police chief. We've got Hilton over here. Heard that these Prevent workers were not educated enough and most probably lefties. So, yeah, that's... So anybody else from the UK that would like to weigh in on this particular situation, go ahead over here. Support Southport attacker. Clearly a terrorist. The evidence is there, and they're still not really calling it terrorism.
Right, OK. Now, a Sunday Times exclusive, a Home Office review has found counter-terrorism officers believe Southport killer Axel Rudakabana had an interest in world news and current affairs. Hey, people, so do I, by the way. But he was not in danger of being radicalised. A redacted version of the report into decisions made by Prevent is due to be released and is set to expose serious failings in the officer's approach to violent extremism. So where did it all go horribly wrong, and what should be done to prevent, no pun intended, absolutely no pun intended, this tragedy? Joining me now is security expert Professor Anthony Aglese to explain what went wrong. Hello, Anthony. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. The most horrific story. We've all gone through it all week, and there's so many questions. The main question is, how was this allowed to happen? I mean, prevent. What do they actually prevent? Nothing, as far as I can see.
Well, I think there was obviously a specific reason, and we shouldn't ignore the fact that the perpetrator here is the person who needs to be blamed. He's the key figure here, and you know, whether he was mad, what he is, we can discuss that. But there is no doubt that there were major failings, and the Sunday Times report makes this very clear indeed. What we have seen, particularly on the crucial meeting that they had about Rudakabana in 2019, a decision was taken not even to interview him. So this is a failing. It's a failing of the counter-terrorist police. We're told there are about 20 in the Greater Manchester area who deal with extremism in the northwest, and that they are very junior officers. They have very little experience, and they were kind of making a decision on the basis of whether or not there was evidence of ideology there.
Now, us blokes hate talking about a little thinning
Yeah,
up.
so I want to hear what Nigel has to say.
So, Nigel, I have to start with the extraordinary news that we heard yesterday, that Reform UK has now topped a national opinion poll for the first time. People may or may not talk about methodology or otherwise. The direction of
found that a lot of people didn't vote last time.
That this machine that you have to put in
is a problem. I think more broadly, it's less of a problem because, frankly, in British politics, we are the story. So that's why I'm sitting at organisation, getting a new party constitution.
Hang on.
Half of them are going to be cancelled. Role to say, oh, well, if there are changes coming, let's suspend the elections. We're told that it'll take at least 3 years. America or Europe. No.
Trump and Keir Starmer, because Donald Trump has today or yesterday said that he thought that Keir Starmer was doing a very good job.
But as I say, Rachel Reeves's comments, and in return, they protect us. And without them, we're defenceless. I mean, just wake up, everybody. This is where we are in an increasingly dangerous world. So that has been a very big worry. And they were trying to sneak it through before the inauguration. Had that happened, I promise you, we're not just giving it away, we're paying.
Where is he?
You can't buy a knife unless you're 18, right? What about prevent? What about the fact this guy was referred 3 times to prevent? What about the fact he was found 10 times at school carrying a knife? What about the absolute failures of all the authorities, child services, prevent, the local police? What about those failures?
And that's the point, isn't it? Which is when you're talking about something which is a failure of either an individual themselves or an individual to be constrained because of the danger they present to society, particularly when it's something that is so widely available. You are never going to stop, as you say, knives, we all use them. You're never going to stop them being there. So
they're just
you have
knives.
to stop the person who is going to use it in the inappropriate way.
Yes, that didn't happen, and then they suppressed the truth for as long as they possibly could, and in fact, because of the guilty plea, there's a lot more would have come out in the court case, but that's by the by, perhaps, for now. And, you know, I said the next day, because I could see the crackpot conspiracy theories that were going around the internet. You know, in a vacuum, who knows what can come and fill that space? And I asked the question, was this man known to the authorities? Can we please know the truth? And Jonathan Hall, KC, who's the terrorism czar, said many, many times, tell the public as much as you can without prejudicing the trial. And after the David Amos case, we knew about the man that did it. After the London Bridge bombings, we knew about the identities of some of those individuals. This time...
And it's not a difficult question to answer, were they known to the authorities?
No.
Because if they'd come back and said, yes, but it's complicated and we're going to come back with full information, all of us would have backed off and said, OK, fine. We get it.
I was demonised. I mean, Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, many MPs, many broadcasters, newspaper columns, said that I'd incited the riots by simply asking for the truth.
Do you remember? I remember now. There was this cryptic video that he said he knew about the terror. That he knew about the Southport attacker, but he wasn't allowed to say. But when it comes out, you will, you'll be surprised. You'll be angry. But and so he knew, somebody told him at the beginning, he's got this ricin. He was known to police. He was into terror. He was into Al Qaeda.
Yeah, that manual.
Yeah.
That's happened in many ways because of that lack of information. And I must say that what I learnt last week, that the Crown Prosecution Service told Liverpool police not to put out the relevant material.
Isn't that a sign they're threatened by him?
Well, it's a sign that heads should roll, frankly, and that the CPS is not doing its job properly.
Talking of people not doing their job properly, I turn back to Rachel Reeves. Growing the economy is arguably
So I want to go over here to a video of 3 young men who are in Poland. And they're asked about feeling safe in Poland versus in London. And it's interesting to listen to the
woke answers.
The woke answers, and then to the poor redheaded kid at the end.
Of England versus Poland. We all said at the beginning of the holiday that we felt safer here than we did in London, and we can't deny that.
I mean, I've been mugged in London, but I haven't been mugged in Poland. I was stolen off my phone, off my money. But in here in Poland, I would happily walk down the street at 4 a.m. with everything on me. I don't feel no threats whatsoever.
And why do you think that is?
I think London, it's got a lot of problems, London. It needs...
It's probably overpopulation.
Yeah. But I feel like it's not just a problem in London, it's a problem in Paris, problem anywhere.
Tell us.
No, I'm all good,
Who's committing the crimes in central in London?
Go on, Simon, go on.
I think the crimes are committed by people who don't have the opportunities that they should have.
What do you guys think about the safe?
That is embarrassing.
That's a brilliant answer.
All 3 of those young men, they said, just tell them, which means they talk about it, which means they know.
Right.
It's the immigrants. It's the Muslims. They're committing these crimes.
People who have not had the same opportunities.
People who have not had the same opportunities. Now, I would like to contrast London with a Polish high school prom circa 2025.
Okay. Let's see where
it's going to be by next at Facebook, I think.
Okay.
Nope.
We'll
close that one.
Yep.
Here
we
it is.
are. And they do everything with such pomp and circumstance, which I just love. Here in Poland, we don't do enough of this kind of stuff. This is the prom.
Mm-hmm.
It's adorable. And they're all dressed the same, so you don't have to worry about what you're going to buy.
Right, I like that. And it's not, it's not about how you look, really. There's nice little baggy white shirts. I like skirts.
That's awesome.
We're gonna watch this whole thing.
You're gonna watch the whole all 3 minutes of it.
More.
Let me turn it down just a little bit so you can talk throughout.
I don't think.
No, I think it's good to comment on it. It's respectful. Look how respectful they look. Now we're back at the beginning of the group again. So, Leah, do you think that this is
universal?
Yeah, like do you think every school does
this?
I'm
guessing so. Yeah,
but
they like their pomp and circumstance and tradition and.
So, but in the balconies, it doesn't look like everybody's dressed this way. So I'm just wondering if, like, specifically the dancers are all dressed the same on purpose.
It looks like it's their whole school.
Okay.
You know, it looks like maybe parents and people, you know.
So for the podcast listeners, they're just literally wearing black and white. No color.
So that is a high school prom in Poland, and
fun.
with the respect and the culture and the Christianity, that you definitely need more of that. Now, why we're going to be talking, I think while we're on the tragedy side.
Oh, boy.
4 more girls were released from the hostages that were released.
Oh, wow.
These 4 girls, and I don't know if these are the 4 that were just released. If I'm getting any of these wrong, please put it in the chat. I've been trying to follow everybody being released, but I do know this. Mia Shem returned with a shattered arm. Amit Susanna reported that her Hamas captor sexually abused her. Maya Ragev testified that instead of treating her, Hamas men poured chlorine on her gunshot wound. Emily Damari returned missing fingers. And now we learned that Daniela Giboa has a bullet actually lodged in her leg.
That is not taking care of the hostages.
Yes, that is not taking care of the hostages. I'm going to see if I can't find another. I had another one on these hostages. It was, it's just a very sad, horrible situation. Horrendous. This is Amit Susanna. She's actually, you can see her, she's not being raped or hurt, but you can see her being carried away and her struggle actually, she's beaten. I'm not going to play too much more. She battled 5 Hamas men, and she actually probably stopped them from hurting more people. And this is just a different world.
I'm just curious. So, like, there's video of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who took the video?
That's a good question. From far away, I have no idea.
Like,
Here, there's another one here. The Israeli girls were returned from Gaza in green uniforms. They were taken in pajamas, but they were trying, and they probably put some narcotics in them.
You just retweeted that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I guess what I was thinking is, I don't know. You don't know what you'll do in a situation until you're there. So it's difficult to say what I would or would not have done. But I think I can unequivocally say I wouldn't stand there and film. Although it's helpful to have the footage, I'm just saying, like, my brain wouldn't think, get out the camera and film. My brain would be like, can we go help? You know?
וזה ממש הגיע תכף. יש אנשים שמוחזקים, הן בחיים בעזה, אפשר להחזיר אותן, הן חוזרות על הרגליים. מיכל.
So the point is that they were taken in like these pajamas, and supposedly that when they're sending them home military, they're trying to say, well, they were military operatives. And here's another one.
They sent them home in military gear?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Like uniforms. So if you refresh, go ahead and
got it.
refresh. Yeah, this is the hostages thanking Donald Trump.
Oh, I have to literally refresh.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Thanking Donald Trump, meaning like they were like released beforehand, and they're still like before Trump was actually president.
Thank you, President Trump, for everything you are doing for our hostages. If anyone can bring world peace, it's definitely you. And you are and we are confident you will do whatever it takes to get us there. Thank you.
And let's see, just a couple more here as they're being released. This is Hamas uses every opportunity to stage propaganda meant for radical Islamist audiences worldwide. To the release of the hostages includes dressing them in fake army uniforms and demanding that they smile and wave. It's just a strange kind of humiliation. It's just weird.
I feel weird.
Before they leave, like, you've got these masked gunmen on either side. Some of you don't have fingers. Some of you have been raped. Some of you still have a bullet in your leg. Some of you have had chlorine poured on your wounds. And you're told to smile and wave or you're not going home. And the people, I mean, just the images of the masks. And it's just beggars disbelief that the rest of the world thinks that this is okay. Mm-hmm. Like, they're terrorists. They are terrorists. They are terrorists. Now, I don't, it's just not the same thing. There's one more if you scroll down. This is the girls coming home. Now, I recognize this is a photo op. I recognize that Israel wants to portray their, you know, somebody's there filming it. I get it. They want the images to go out. I get it. It feels very, you know, Hunger Games. But it's also very real.
We can't fake that.
אני אוהבת אתכם, כל אזרחי מדינת ישראל שתמכו במשפחות שלנו ועטפו אותם, ולכל חיילי צה"ל שעשו הכל בשבילנו. שיהיה לכם תודה רבה, אני אוהבת אתכם. תודה, אני רוצה חיבוק גם ממך.
חברה שלך עשתה.
באמת צה"ל, בואי נשאר אמא כלבייה. אמא כלבייה.
כל העולם ילך.
You can kind of fast forward. There's a couple more. It's just different. And Michelle, I don't know, can you talk about it? Just there's a different familial love that I don't see out of Palestine. I don't see when they're welcomed home, when their terrorists were welcomed home, they were welcomed home with guns and masks and cars.
So I think that the issue
it's
is
just, I mean, why you can't, if the Palestinians want to appear to be the oppressed minorities, that's your propagandists are not doing a good job.
Sherry says, so all these young women were attending the music festival that was attacked.
I don't know if all of them were the music
so.
festivals. Yeah,
I think the answer to that is yes. Yes, because these are the ones, this is all from October 7th. Harry, I get you. I understand your comments. Unfortunately, and I don't know who deleted your comment, but as long as you're respectful, I don't care about your comments. Whatever you want to say, you can be totally anti-Jew, anti-Zionist. I don't care. You can be here on this chat. What Leah was getting at here is the problem that we see is there's the Israeli government who is corrupt at its core, bar none. We don't need to make any bones about that. The Israeli government does do propaganda. Leah even mentioned, obviously, the Israeli government is going to want this video footage to go out. But at the same time, these are real girls who were real hostages. And
they really had their fingers cut off.
Right.
There's a real bullet. And the picture of these girls were really like, these things exist. Like, she's missing fingers. She went with fingers. She came back with no fingers.
So, Leah, I'm going to answer your question. So the difference, when we look at the protests since October 7th, when you see people who support Israel, those people are peaceful.
Yeah.
And those people are respectful. And those people are, aside from Nikki Haley, by and large, are not calling for the mass extinction of Palestinians. When you look at the protests of the people supporting Hamas and supporting Palestine, it's literally from the river to the sea. Everyone's got to go. We want to obliterate Israel off the face of the planet. We want all Jews dead. Okay? When we look at the torture, at least what we can see, do I believe that Israel is torturing prisoners? Yes. Do I believe that Israel is torturing innocent civilians? I don't. We may disagree on that. I don't.
Well, I will give you this piece of information. 2 women, military Palestinian women that were set to be released have asked to stay in prison.
Because it's better there?
I guess so, but they don't want to leave.
So Israel is saying.
I'm guessing, yeah, but I think they could probably write a note to their family and be like, I do really
Sure.
want to go. So I am assuming that is true information.
What we look at when we see
They're
Hamas,
probably fed better.
They're called terrorists for a reason. There's war, and there is the rules of engagement around war. Okay, and there's lies and propaganda that are also involved in war. But what we struggle with here on Resistance Chicks, and the thing that makes me angry is not the right word because I'm not angry about it. It's just like, I'm just like, oh, like it hurts my heart that there are so many people out there that believe that just because Israel is bad and produces propaganda and lies and does all kinds of really terrible things,
Then
that
we must
makes
just
the
be
other
good.
side
Good.
good.
Yeah.
That it's totally okay that they torture prisoners, and that I have to disbelieve my lying eyes about what they're doing. So literally, Hamas does not exist. Hamas does not torture. Hamas did not commit the October 7th attack, which actually, I will go so far as to say I believe that Israel allowed the October 7th attack to take place, and they looked the other way because they wanted it to happen so that all of this could take place. I'll go that far, 100%. Okay? But what I find
it was
is
literally Hamas. They recorded themselves. They have the hostages. I mean, at some point, it's like Israel didn't make Hamas.
Exactly.
Go and capture those people. Didn't make Hamas rape people. Didn't make
That's
Hamas
just in them
cut
to
fingers
do
off.
that.
It's just
It's
in
what
them.
they do. They're
We've
terrorists.
been covering the Palestinians for years, how they have raised up these children to want to just... Here's the thing. You know what you don't see? You don't see Egyptians coming over and doing this.
There's a reason why
don't see
Egypt won't
Saudi
take...
Arabians coming into Israel and doing this.
Egypt will not take Palestinians. Why?
Jordan doesn't want to take Palestinians. Lebanon doesn't want to take Palestinians, but because Lebanon has taken Palestinians.
Is it because Hamas is a group of saints? So this whole thing is, I don't want to waste a bunch of time on our show on this, but first of all, news.
Saudi Arabia and Qatar want good relations with Israel. Why is that?
That's a very good question. News for our truthers out there. You guys need to know this because maybe you don't experience this, but I'm telling you, there is a mind worm that has infiltrated the truther movement.
Candace Owens.
That has made people so that they cannot think for themselves, and all they can think is
Jews bad.
Jews are all bad, 100% of them. They are all the 1,000,000% problem in the whole world. Okay? And then it means that anyone that Israel is fighting against
must be good.
Must be good and a saint, and anything said bad about them must needs be a lie, and it is false. Then Hamas is not a terrorist group, and the Palestinians do not want to have Jews obliterated off the face of the planet, every single last one of them. No. They do. Okay? And so what Leah and I try to say on our show, and you hear us say this all the time, both sides are wrong. Both sides need Jesus, but I am far more concerned about my very close, very, very, very close friends who have a mind worm.
Demonic.
It's Satan.
It's
okay?
demonic.
So
If
I
you
rebuke
can't
it.
see Hamas, if you can't see them with their guns, with their masks on, driving through town, 20 guys in a truck, and be like, those are the good
Those are the good guys. Hang on.
No, they're not the good guys. Like, what?
You do understand that the root of all of this is radical Islam,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, so
It's the same thing to the Southport.
I was about getting ready to say. So you can listen about Southport, and part of your brain will go, yeah, that's bad. That guy's a terrorist. But yet all of the people that have the same belief system and do the exact same things that live in Palestine, all of those people are saints. And of course they're not bad. And of course they don't have the same ideology. This is ridiculous. So I'm not even going to acknowledge it or rebuke it in the name of Jesus. Those people need Jesus. They need deliverance. There's a bunch of demons in Palestine. The Jews need Jesus. There's a bunch of demons in Israel. They all need an exorcism. And anyone that just wants to focus on the demons in Israel and then defend the demons in Palestine, you're still fighting for the devil.
The bankers and the WF people are pushing an evil agenda. Some may be Jews in those organizations, but not all of them. It's so ridiculous. I'm just telling you guys, like, it's just ridiculous. Like, there's Bill Gates is not a Jew. He's one of the most evil people. Klaus Schwab, I don't think he's a Jew. If he is, that'd be funny. But I don't think he is. He's like one of the most evil people on the planet. Like, seriously, George Soros, you got me. No, but like, seriously, we've covered that. And then what did he do? He actually, during the Holocaust, loaded up his fellow Jews. He pretended to be a Christian and loaded up his fellow Jews on the train. So, like,
Leah,
it's just weird.
The problem is that when you're talking to the people with the mind worm, the Holocaust never happened. Right? And so I can't have a conversation with these people. Like, it's just demonic, and I rebuke it in the name of Jesus. And you guys need to do the exact same thing and pray for your fellow truthers out there that have the mind worm, because they will never get Palestinians set free. They will never get Jews set free until they are set free from the demonic mind worm that they have. So we rebuke it. We cast it out in the name of Jesus. Jews will come to know Jesus. Israel will come to know Jesus. Palestinians will come to know Jesus, and Palestine will become part of the kingdom of God. That is what we decree and we declare on this show.
Is it feasible that the nation of Israel is utterly obliterating Palestine and was glad that you gave them the open door to do this? Yeah, that's why you shouldn't have done it. Okay.
I like Heather's answer. It's both and, not either or. Thank you. So
all right.
we will have to keep doing this and squashing it every time it arises, but I'm telling you, like it's demonic.
Boom, boom, boom. All right. Do you want to? Barry sent me some commercial breaks, which you can open up in a minute, but I actually have some. So let's wipe our palate clean from terrorism in Jesus' name, and let's see this guy over here, Leonardo Silveria, swimming with a puma and a tiger.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me go all the way over here. What in the world? This is great.
So. Just the animal shows, the animals have been getting me this week.
All right, let's start this over. So why is he doing this?
I'm guessing these are his friends.
We talked about this on Friday. A cheetah. Friday, we mentioned how we don't like this idea, that this seems bad.
But you know what? If I'm going to be playing with a cheetah or a puma, a water seems like a safer place because they're going to be able to.
Those look kind of like young ones. Am I wrong? Or is it just because they're wet?
I don't know, but it's really adorable, actually.
Oh my God.
Okay, skip the next one because we're going to come back to that. And here we have a monster attacking somebody in the UK's tent.
This is either a horse or a sheep. Trying
to get out of tent. It's a monster.
Bite a hole in it.
Tried to scare him off.
But the curious animal was unbothered. Just get out of the tent and shoo it away.
Oh my God! Look at all that.
They were surrounded by a herd of wild ponies.
Who just wanted to come say hi.
I would have pet them. Go pet them.
I'm more curious than anything else.
That's adorable.
Absolutely adorable.
So
there is our commercial break. All right, next one. Here we have our friend
Ezra
Levant. They were handing out bug-filled protein bars at Davos.
Insect protein energy bars. And there was a man giving these out by the 100 today. They really want you to eat the bugs. This is not a conspiracy theory, Alex. I couldn't believe it. I took it.
Gates trying to ban cows and genetically modify those that they do have. He wants to put out a maggot milk where fly larvae are turned into milk.
Stop it.
And as you said, they're hiding this stuff, and it's pure criminal activity.
And they didn't understand there were insects in it. And I asked the guy who was about to eat it, I said, did you hear him? There's insects in this. And he almost gagged.
Yeah, you would, and you should.
Gosh, that's this. You want me to keep going?
No, you can close that.
Oh my gosh.
Now this is real school. This is in Denmark. Kids are encouraged to get muddy on a regular basis. In Denmark, kids are encouraged to get muddy on a regular basis. Getting dirty isn't just fun. It's beneficial. Mud play boosts creativity, strengthens sensory development, and even supports a healthier immune system. I am all like it's almost like they put them in trash bags, but they didn't. Like they all came like ready in their rain gear. The kid just jumping up and just kind of doing it.
No.
Like they're literally splashing in it, and
That's
it's like kind of
hilarious.
cold and kind of. You know what? It's just I love it. And then when you just hose them down when you're done.
I guess so. Yeah, why not?
Just kind of hose them down. All right. We'll go back to some more commercial breaks. This is not a commercial break. This is from Visegrad24. This is a Greek conservative MEP. His name is
Fregos Emanuela.
Talking about the population decline.
I know I said that wrong.
Population apocalypse.
Okay, wait. Is this in English?
According to a recent Morgan Stanley study, approximately half of European women between the ages of 25 to 44 will be childless
24.
and single by
And
2030. Tragically, this is not usually how they planned their lives. The modern lifestyle leaves men and women childless by removing the incentives for marriage, which is the basis of a family, which is the basis of a nation. Quoting Elon Musk, the population collapse due to low birth rates is a much bigger risk to our civilization than global warming. But while the average European woman remains childless, the average African woman, be it from Chad, Congo, or Niger, bears 6 children. This will lead to the annihilation of Europe by population replacement. We cannot simply stand by as spectators to this disaster. This is the emergency, dear friends. We must use all our resources to sponsor the birth of more and more children of our nation. We must approve tax reliefs and stipends for people who bear more children. We must create bigger families for the sake of our nation. The discussion must start right this instant. We must envision the 6 children European family again. We need structures to welcome new baby boom and support the
Baby
parents.
boom. That's my favorite
Europe
line of the
is
day.
the cradle of civilization. For the sake of our completeness, for the sake of our future, and for the sake of all mankind, we must survive.
Oh, I love that.
You know, I am going to just
Make babies for your
put
country.
a little caveat on this.
Okay.
You don't need to have a replacement from Africa. Like, you know, there's more population in Europe than there was 200-300 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be fine with less people. The whole idea of population replacement is a myth. You do not need to birth people to replace your population. So what I'm saying, my point is it's an improper foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you just go off on we need more people to replace our population, that's not the good foundation.
No, it's just the other side of the side that says there's too many people.
Exactly.
And we need to just stop having
It's still
people.
I feel like it's still kind of the wrong way to look at it. And here's the thing, Africa is huge. And Africa is not overpopulated at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So let the Africans have the African babies and then just let Africa be great again. Okay. Or for the first time. Let Africa be great. Okay. Let the gospel spread there and make Africa great. The idea that it's a myth that you need to bring in Africans to replace your population.
This is what I say, and this is why we always say make babies for your country here on Resistance Chicks. And we've said that for years. It's one of my favorite things. As Christians, we are literally the dominion mandate is to populate the earth.
Yeah, sure.
And so godly families are supposed to produce godly children. And I'm going to speak something out on this show that you may or may not like, not you people watching and listening, that there are some of you families who you actually technically could still have children, and you have just been like, no, we're not having any more kids. Like, that's ridiculous. You have made a decision, and you're okay with that. And I believe that the Lord would probably say to you that, you know, now that you have done it once or twice or 3 or 4 times, however many times you've had children, taking the past many years, you know, since you haven't had kids, and all the things that you've learned, imagine what it would be for you to raise a child now with what you know. Now, the argument can be made, now's not the time to have kids. That's kind of the box that Lee and I stand in personally, but we're not even married. But I would say that there are probably a lot of you out there that made a decision as a couple to not have kids anymore. And God would say to you, you need to, as a matter of fact, this is the case for everybody, and I'm getting a little bit into the birds and the bees here, but every couple that is married should be believing God for children as long as they are married. That's the design of the human body and the couplage, and that is the purpose of marriage and Abraham and Sarah and all of that, okay? But some of you need to take that a little bit further, a step further, to actually say, you know what? No, I really think that we need to be believing God for kids, like legitimately. Okay, we may not be exactly dried up figs, but
it's
you know,
unfortunate that a lot of people who want to have kids can't.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that can have kids don't want them.
I know. You hear it a lot from a lot of young people, even just young people, not even people that are our age.
Yeah, they can't.
That they just like, I've decided I don't want to have kids.
Oh,
and I think to myself, like, that's weird. And I run into people like parents of children, and they will talk about their different kids. Like they said, they have like 3 kids, and they'll talk about one, they'll talk about the other, but there's always the one that they're usually like, yeah, they'll never have kids.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, don't speak that over your children, okay? And second of all, what did you do wrong that makes your child not want to have kids?
I know, right?
Like you literally did something wrong. Repent.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Every child that
Send
you
them
have
to public
raised,
school.
even if it was just sending them to public school, every child that you raise should want to have children. It's natural.
So let's speak out. A baby boom across the world. Where
Baby boom. And I want to see a resistance chicks baby boom.
A marriage boom and a healthy marriage boom and healthy family boom and healthy baby boom around the world.
Amen.
In Jesus' name we
Yes.
pray.
Hallelujah.
Have babies and go to jail was the population control to weaponize the judicial system. Mom says, Andre Dimmick said, men just need to start being men and take every precaution to protect the wives, daughters, etc. A few years ago, the Lord had me speak out in the name of the Father. Men, keep your wives and children's mind clean. At least you'll know what a real man is and does between a man, what is actually gay and a woman. So an actually gay man and a woman. Yeah, keep your mind clean. Men just need to start being men and take every precaution. Yeah, that's good, Andre. Okay. Oh, she was replying to him. Okay. So I like that a lot. Liking that a lot. All right. Trump says to Zelensky, he passed on a deal, decided to fight, and is no angel. So Trump appeared on Hannity this week and offered a blunt, critical assessment of Zelensky, the sweatsuit-wearing weirdo who has literally a tie doesn't exist to him
anymore.
He strongly suggested, he used to wear them all the time. Really weird, right?
But now he's
put
in
on his
war.
costume. He strongly suggested that the Ukrainian president's policies have only prolonged the war. It's not his fault. It's really not. It's everybody's around him, but I mean, he has some of them. This includes the unspoken truth that the prior Biden administration policies have only served to continue the killing. Look, Zelensky was fighting a much bigger entity, much, much bigger, much more powerful. He shouldn't have done that. Because he could have made a deal, and it would have been a deal that would have been a nothing deal, and that he's no angel, and that he decided he wanted to fight.
You want to play the clip?
No.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Here, here's the 4 Israeli hostages released. And we did that. Talked about that. So Switzerland has achieved its highest deportation rate in Europe in 2024. So Switzerland is excelling at removing immigrants slated for deportation, achieving the highest rate in Europe with a 60% deportation rate and boosting its own progress by 18% over 2023. In total, Switzerland was able to remove 7,000 asylum seekers. Well, they don't have very much then, because like Britain is receiving like 1 million or something, right? So good for you. You obviously didn't have much to begin with. They even defecated under a statue of the Holy Virgin. A group of young migrants are sowing terror in the Swiss village of Soicherus.
Here's a list of their many offenses: stealing purses, shooting farmers' chickens with BB guns,
No.
setting fire to a sheep shed with stolen church candles.
Oh my goodness.
Urinating under a church pew, burned religious images, desecrated the church graveyard by kicking over tombstones, and spotted at night roaming around with knives and a small axe.
So the village only had 433 people.
Oh my gosh.
Police are powerless to stop the incidents due to the age of the young. Oh, they were only 8 to 10 years old.
Oh my gosh. So they're children.
Yeah. Yeah. Nevertheless, the pressure on the cantons remains high, even with the high rate of returns. Fewer refugees are arriving in Switzerland because we have negotiated better agreements with transit countries, but also with countries of origin to ensure that fewer people put themselves in danger by fleeing. This is a path that Switzerland has paved with its 66 migration agreements.
So the video here
I
says
guess with other countries.
Police shoot dead axe-wielding Iranian migrant who took Swiss train passengers hostage. An Iranian asylum seeker armed with a hammer and an axe who took 15 people hostage on a Swiss train has been shot dead by police snipers.
Yeah.
When did this happen?
I don't know.
February 9th
February
of
last year. Yeah, that's...
So essentially, this video is just proving that they have the same issues.
And then there was another article that says surveillance image shows an Afghan killer. And honestly, guys, so Breitbart has one of these stories from a migration, like horrific, just violent attack, like one or two or maybe even 3 or 4 a week on their site. But I don't bring them to you because they're so distressing.
Yeah.
But he butchered this guy, butchered a 2-year-old in a German city of Aschenberg. The man was stalking the group of young kindergarten children, 1 to 3. And once the children were seated in a vehicle parked nearby, he went after a kid. So, like, I don't know. That must be something that went out through the channels.
Well, so this looks like a very young person. If I'm just, like, shooting from the hip here on my judgment. But I'm thinking about, and I know that this may or may not be healthy. I think I can do it in a healthy manner. Putting yourself in the mind of these young terrorists that are in training and they want to do something, but it's a really scary thing to try and go kill somebody. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, that would be, like, first of all, can you even accomplish it? You know, all of these things. So it makes sense for them to target children.
Yeah.
Because it's an innocent thing that that looks easier to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's an unfortunate demonic mindset that they're going through.
Und dazu zählen möglicherweise, weil der Kanzler
Olaf Scholz himself posted 45 minutes into the meeting that he wanted to see
the incident cleared up quickly and that there would be consequences now. So he's putting on the pressure. From this, it can be concluded that we may now be discussing how we can quickly deport people back to Afghanistan. The newscaster says the whole thing is a bit reminiscent of the slogan Soligen, where the deportations didn't work. The chancellor said that he was tired of such acts of violence occurring in our country every few weeks. That should be the case for all of us. But he also demands immediate consequences. Is this a human emotional outburst, or is it a bit of an election campaign? He says, I think it's a real emotional outburst because of the election campaign.
So this, guys, I really can't stand Elon. I feel like he is, I don't believe in the Antichrist coming out anytime soon, but he kind of feels Antichrist-y to me. He is Antichrist to me. But he has been rallying behind the AfD. The AfD has been the large anti-immigration party in Europe, and they fanboyed over him, and he
the alternative for Deutschland.
He and I support this party, I guess, in Germany, if you could say we do or we report on it, that they're doing good things. Now, they were fangirling over him zooming into their rally.
Let's exactly. I mean, I think we should fight for an exciting, bright future where people can be optimistic about what's going to happen, where you wake up and you look forward to the future. And the best way to ensure the future is good, you have to fight for a good future every day, and it will be great, and we'll have a very exciting, wonderful future. So, so I think this election coming up in Germany is incredibly important. I think it could decide the entire fate of Europe, maybe the fate of the world. That is the significance of this election. So that's why it's very important to talk to your friends and family and convince them to consider voting for AfD, and just go with it like a chain reaction. Convince one friend, talk to another friend, and say, hey guys, do you want this? Do you want more of the last 10 years, or do you want something different? And I think the people in Germany want something different. And if you want something different, you have to vote for a different party.
Okay, so I don't know. It's just weird. And he really did get them excited. He's like, you shouldn't be ashamed to be German anymore. It's only been 5 years since the Holocaust. Just kidding. But Germans walk around feeling badly all the time, every day. I You have any thoughts on that?
I only have a very worldly. I feel like he speaks weird. Like I have a hard time listening to him, not only because I do believe that he has like the worst motives for the world. Maybe not the worst, but I think he's got bad motives. I just I have a hard time listening to him speak, like his teeth and the way that he talks and the way that he doesn't move his upper mouth like this. It's like it's only his bottom jaw that moves, and it's like his teeth always stay like this. And it's like there's some sort of accent there that I can't quite figure out.
Well, he is South.
No, I know.
African.
But it's still, it's like it's muted enough that it's like it just makes it sound weird.
That's true.
The accent, like just have your South African accent or don't. You know, I don't know. I'm being totally picky here, but I just physically don't even like to speak.
Yeah, it's a confusing world for me because I do, kind of support the AFD there, but he is just too, I don't know. I'd rather him not get involved. Let's put it that way. But, he got involved with the Donald Trump presidency and feels like he pushed that over. Well, let's go over here to Viktor Orban.
Love him. Somebody that actually
just
sounds
some
sane.
Truth bombs here.
Is this in English? Okay.
The mother is a woman, the father is a man, and leave our kids alone. Full stop, end of discussion.
Isn't this from CPAC?
We decided...
Yeah, I just love to somebody close to that. All right,
we
let's go over
decided
here.
we don't need more genders, we need more rangers.
Oh. We need more what?
Less drag queens and more Chuck Norris.
More Rangers. Oh, more Chuck Norris because he came over. Yeah. Okay. Let's hear Neil Oliver in a small part of his monologue of truth this week.
Hang on, let me find it.
It's to the right. Right there. No. I think it's just right there. No. Okay, it's over to the other right.
Okay, your other right.
No, you don't have it. Did I accidentally close it out for you?
I will find it.
Here.
You're gonna retweet it. Okay. More Chuck Norris. I can't believe Chuck's still alive. That's so weird to me. If you're watching from the rest of the world and you never grew up watching Chuck Norris, specifically the Texas Ranger, what was that show called? Was it just the Texas Rangers?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the greatest.
Is anyone else getting to the point where news of impending doom, nuclear war, someone somewhere igniting the cow fart that finally sets the world ablaze, a pandemic? Is anyone else at the point where such news brings on symptoms not unlike those of narcolepsy, as in a sudden nodding off? I'm exhausted with it. I'm exhausted by it. The jumping, like flea to rat, from one crisis to the next.
It does feel
Whatever
that way.
it is the authorities offer next, or indeed mandate, up to and including a jab promising eternal life and a physique like Brad Pitt's in Fight Club, I'm not buying it. Count me out. So after all the crying wolf in recent years about COVID, about climate crisis, about poxy monkeys, after all of it, if something real comes along, I'll just have to face it, clad only in the clothes I'm standing up in, because I wouldn't trust the next government-sponsored solution as far as I could throw it. And let's properly widen our view, the better, after all, to see the bigger picture. Beyond the reach of whatever administration we call whichever government we happen to be lumbered with at any given moment, in the shadows where the decisions that matter are actually made by the one world government types, we plainly see by now the determination to keep billions of people forever on their toes, forever on edge. War, invasion by aliens, zombie disease, a world on fire on account of cows and gas boilers. All of these, and more besides, are just distractions. If we're supposed imminently to fear a pandemic of the Black Death, experience makes it clear we must ignore that phantom entirely and look around instead for whatever it is the cabal is pulling with a view to seizing more money and more control. I do fear infected fleas, and I'm not especially partial to rats anywhere near my home or my children. But nowadays, the fleas stand behind podiums and try and get me to inject my kids with God knows what, while the rats gather in Davos to plot my doom. Fortunately, the lies and propaganda overdose I was inflicted with after 2020 has given me immunity, natural immunity. And natural immunity, as we know, lasts a lifetime.
Oh, I love that.
Is anyone...
Good job, Neil. That was great.
All right, so China. China has its own... I've read a couple things about China. Which one is this? What is this one I have about China? Grandfather says he regrets a bit now that a highway... Oh, that was funny.
Oh, the house. They built the highway around the house. No, read that. That's good. I'll play it. You can read it.
So in China, they offered him $220,000 to move. And Han Ping of Jingji, China, who lives with his grandson, now lives in the middle of a soon-to-be busy road. To access his home, Ping has to travel through a large pipe to get to his front door. If I could turn back time, I would agree to the demolition conditions they offered. Now it feels like I lost a big bet, and I regret it a bit. They also made his roof almost level with the lanes of the road.
That sounds dangerous.
It's now a tourist attraction, so maybe he can make some money.
Oh my gosh. That is so weird. So we were discussing this, and like I was like, "What? It's China. Why not just make him move? They're China. They do that sort of thing." And like, is that the only, like, he only owned the land around his house? Because like, this is a really tight squeeze.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really proud of him for standing up, you know,
and so
to them. But clearly he had money, because like, you don't live in China and have a house like that without money.
Right.
So
my
the whole
guess
thing seems weird.
Is that they wanted to make him
an example
out of him. Like, you don't want this to happen to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of China, so China's DeepSeek is an AI bombshell, rocks Trump's $500 billion AI boondoggle. What they're going to try to tell us, and I kind of woke up with this word, China's coming for us. And so this is what Trump is going to think that he needs to battle. Like, we need to get a hold of AI first. Like, there's no getting a hold of AI first. Like, this is kind of a stupid thing. It's like saying, you know, we need to invent the car first. Well, then somebody else is just going to make another car, right? So the future of humanity is being decided as we speak. And it is not being decided on a battlefield in Eastern Europe or in the Middle East or in the Taiwan Strait, but in the data centers and research facilities where technology experts create the physical and virtual infrastructure to power the next generation of AI. This is a full-blown scorched earth free-for-all that has already racked up a number of casualties, though you wouldn't know it from reading the headlines, which typically ignore recent cataclysmic developments. But when Trump announced the launching of a $500 billion AI infrastructure project, Stargate, on Tuesday, just hours after China had released its DeepSeek R1, which outperforms its rivals in advanced coding, math, and general knowledge capabilities, it became painfully obvious that the battle for the future is on in a big way. And this is not a battle that either side, quote unquote, can afford to lose. So a technology expert, Adam Button, summed it up. You can read that. Imagine we're back in
2017, and the iPhone X was just released. It was selling for $999, and Apple was crushing sales and building a wide moat around its ecosystem. Now imagine just days later, another company introduced a phone and platform that was equal in every way, if not better, and the price was just $30. That's what unfolded in the AI space today. China's DeepSeek released an open source model that works on par with OpenAI's latest models, but costs a tiny fraction to operate. Moreover, you can even download it and run it for free, or the cost of your electricity for yourself. The product is a huge leap in terms of scaling and efficiency, and may upend expectations of how much power and compute will be needed to manage the AI revolution. It also comes just hours before Trump is expected to unveil the $100 billion investment in U.S. data centers. The model shows there are different ways to train foundational AI models that offer up the same results with much less cost. It also opens up far more applications for AI that would have been too expensive to run previously, which should broaden the applications in the real economy. That is from China's DeepSeek.
So the panic must be spreading across the Western tech capitals right now. AI was supposed to be the fast track to absolute societal control and oligarch rule in the next millennia. But now those pesky Chinese have overturned the apple cart, leaving Western elites with a problem they might not be able to fix. They expected that their microchip sanctions would sabotage China's AI efforts for at least a decade or so, but instead China has come roaring back with a system that has left the tech giants gasping for air. DeepSeek seems to have created a panic moment within the biggest companies and should alarm investors. So this is, of course, China's eye-popping strides in technological developments are nothing new. China steals ideas all the time. Okay, to think that China, when it came to something technology-wise, you know, you can't even get a Samsung phone on eBay and tell the difference between
the China fake, yeah,
or the actual one. Like, okay, on Monday, Chinese AI lab DeepSeek released its new R1 model, and everybody is up in arms. And this is a very big deal. And so, will we have no workers? That's kind of like the big thing. So most people don't realize how bad the news about this is for OpenAI. They've come up with a model that matches and exceeds it, the OpenAI's model on various benchmarks, and charging 3% of
what
the
I
price.
think that this proves is that, like you just said earlier, there's no getting in front of AI. It's a fast track thing. So China is now already in front of. So they're saying
open source stuff, so they could just like anybody can start, you know, building and.
It's demonic, and even that very article started out with they say that this is a quote from Elon Musk. I'm not sure that it is. He is the demon, but it literally says, with AI, we are summoning the demon. In all these stories where there's a guy with the pentagram and the holy water, it's like, yeah, sure, he can control that demon. It doesn't work out, says Elon Musk. So everybody's saying, let's get in front of AI. We can control it. You can't.
Then he's happy with summoning the demon.
Exactly.
So we're going to, guys, these are these kind of things where it's like, well, what do we do? And I'm like, we just got to pray. Like, seriously.
You rebuke it. He called it out. It's demonic. And that's the good news. We can rebuke demons.
Yes, we can.
And we will.
Rebuke
and
demons.
We do.
So I'm going to do a little bit of American news here real quick, because the lower 48 polar blast, coldest since 1994, as global warming alarmists go silent after years of unprecedented man-made global boiling propaganda pushed by woke scientists. We now have the average temperature running 3.6 degrees below normal. This is currently the coldest January in the lower 48 since 1994. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. Now, if you go to my Twitter, Michelle, we are going to go and we're going to do a little deep dive into a conspiracy theory.
I'm ready.
That you have been talking about. Now, I'm first going to play.
Ain't never saying it, Ernie.
I'm going to undo some of these. I've done. So I'm first going to play this from Donald Trump. And I'm just going to let you guys mule on this for a second.
I don't know if we've ever seen anything like it, frankly. They say the biggest in the history of California. I think, has anything bigger than that happened in the whole country ever? It looks like, I don't want to say what it looks like, but you know what I'm going to say. It looks like something hit it. And we won't talk about what hit it, but it is a bad, bad situation. I don't know.
I want to know what Trump knows. He knows. He knows. So, like, okay, Trump, if you know, he says, I don't want to say, but you know what I'm going to say.
Okay, so here we have a forensic arborist has determined that nearly all wildfires in California since the Paradise Fires have been caused by direct energy weapons. Robert Brain has over 38 years in experience as an arborist and has spent the last 48 years studying the plant kingdom, focusing on California's native flora. He has conducted extensive field work, making 106 trips to the aftermath of 38 different wildfires, mostly in California. According to his analysis, he has determined that only 3 of these fires were due to natural causes.
Even the trees will burn down, sometimes to a low stump or even a hole in the ground. Not like this one. This was the big Coffee Park fire in Santa Rosa, where 4,700 homes were turned to white ash. And look at the trees. Why aren't they missing along with the houses? Many of these are pine family relatives. Eucalyptus against that road there, or whatever that is, against the road. Those are eucalyptus back there, the round ones. Those are so flammable, a cigarette lighter in your hand can light those on fire. a green leaf, light them right on fire. The forest is primarily valley oak, blue oak, and California bay, which is a very combustible leaf. I can light them on fire again with a cigarette lighter. They didn't burn. There's a bay tree right there. The bottoms will always be burned right at ground level. No reason for that. Grass couldn't do that. You don't take a lot of flames to do that. No, they're being cooked right where they're at. This was an entire bay forest, and I couldn't find one leaf burned. And somehow the leaves turned black. You notice the bottoms of these little suckers here, they're black. Almost every tree here is a bay. They didn't burn, but the ground did. It's only a grass fire here. You can tell this was just grass, and it might have even been kept up. I don't see one burned tree. There's ponderosa pine, black oak, white oak. Well, there's a deodar cedar to the left there a little bit. That's pine family from the Himalayas. And a digger pine on the left, the big multi-branched one.
I want to listen to this video. It's 4 minutes long. I just have to interrupt for our podcast listeners that are not looking at these images. Okay? I have been to like places in Glacier where you can see the remnants of a forest fire. When you have a forest fire, the entire tree burns and it burns it down to a stump and it leaves devastation. It looks like it's like your heart just cries for the nature because there's no more trees, because all the trees are gone. And yet we're looking at these fires in California. I'm going to hyperventilate with anger and frustration here. Wildfires spread through vegetation, meaning it takes out all the vegetation. The fuel for the fire is the vegetation. So you do not have houses that burn down when all of the trees around them did not burn. How did the fire get to that house? If not by the vegetation getting the fire there. This is ridiculous.
Nothing wanted to burn that day, just the house. Ponderosa pine forest. Little short ones and everything. Where the flames are in the needles, they refuse to ignite. Here's your eucalyptus. It's down in the flames, refuse to burn. Upper foothill or lower pine belt here. Very flammable areas. And no, they're not burning. And look in the background. Chunks of metal everywhere. The two fire captains told me in their combined 60 years, they've never, ever seen a window melt out. Incidentally, every fire I've been to, all these 120 trips, not one window has been intact. Every single one has melted out. No exceptions. There's your aluminum. What's melting it this far away? Well, what's keeping it flowing? These things will flow 20 or 30 feet from a car when there's nothing on the ground to keep them melting. That's a high temperature. But they keep flowing right across the dirt. Here's a fence line. They all look like this. Burn at the nails, burn at the ground. The only place they burn is at the ground and wherever the metals were. What fire does that? A normal fire would burn the post from the bottom up, not skip spots. No, they favor the metals, of course. This is a tall post, perhaps 5 or 6 feet high, and way up high, eye level, just the nail area burned. Here's this board. What really burned? The
That's
nails
electricity.
On that board. This little guardrail is a park guardrail, and actually it's all wood. There's no metal here. The cross member, the long ones, and the post are all wood. And each one was burned like this, where the screws were. Many trees are cooking from the inside out. They're burned on the inside, and there's no hole to get a flame in there. This thing was about 4 feet in diameter in a spring, burned from the inside out, and not one leaf burned. When you look at the cuts, this is very important. These are 90% dead. They should not have that heartwood. The dark area is the heartwood. It shows me these things were cooked from the inside out. Here's a soil bag. It still had soil in it. That was there. The tennis shoe was there. And you see the black. There's black everywhere. A cushion for your chair. I see this chainsaw in the back of this pickup truck. The window melted out at 2,500 degrees. All the tires burned completely, leaving the slinky-like steel belts. That plastic should be gone completely, down to the metals. Didn't happen.
There's so much white ash in some of these photos. It looks like the heat would have been really intense. However, it didn't reach very far.
Why is that? Why is everything reduced to...
Look at this picture, guys. The houses are all burnt to ash. And the pine trees. Has anyone ever had an outdoor fire? When you throw pine on it, whoosh. And the trees are all standing.
white ash versus...
Well, I'm going to have to say it's because of the extreme heat. It's a different kind of flame. To me, these are microwave-based flames.
Now, Patriot Gallery points out something that's far more terrifying. Go ahead.
Well, people are saying direct energy weapons, so I don't know.
Patriot Gallery points out that your smart meters can blow up and torch your homes like that.
Yeah,
but that's not the cars.
But then the question would remain, why didn't the fire from the house catch the trees on fire?
Because it wasn't that type of fire, and that's the very interesting thing.
Well, he said it's more of a microwaving.
Exactly.
Like metal in a microwave.
Right.
Causing things
I'm
to
just
melt.
saying that this entire thing stinks to high heaven, and Trump pretty much admitted to knowing about it and knowing what it is. And so I want to know what Trump knows. Like, if Trump's going to be all Trumpy and be the people's president and transparent and all of that, you know, I want to know what Trump knows.
I do too.
I want to hear what you guys have to say. Hang on, I'm going to go to some comments. What on earth is that? Let's see. Eucalyptus is such a flammable oil. We should have seen the trees looking like giant torches during the actual fires from Desert Cat. Yeah, well said. Exactly. Seven Ange says, that is what I said last week when I was looking at the footage. Britt Bozza says it's basically a massive land grab. Seven Ange says someone took a picture of his neighbor's. Oh, let me go back one. Or no, from his neighbor's house, and the fire started in the house. The flames started inside. See, that makes so much sense. Like, Patriot, and then the Patriot Rally talks about the smart meters.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I am gonna try to get our smart meter, but you have to pay extra money, and I'm just not sure where we can.
Donald Trump
they might have to move where our meter is, so I don't know if it's gonna work.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to find the history.
Okay, over here at the 3 bars.
Yeah,
there you go.
Because Barry, we're gonna end on a commercial break. Here. So about the new forest pony, and Barry sent us this.
Okay. Hang on, I'm screen sharing just 1 second.
So this is in the UK.
In southern England, there is a place with beautiful heath, bogs, and woodlands where native ponies have been around for centuries. They are known as the New Forest Pony. The area was once a royal hunting ground, and farmers were granted rights to graze their livestock, a tradition that continues to this day. Today, there are about 4,500 ponies living in the New Forest National Park. Registered ponies that are sired and born in the area are called forest bred. Although they appear to be wild, all of the ponies in the park are owned by individual people known as commoners.
No way.
Oh, wow.
The pony we have today is the result of crossing various breeds over the years, including Welsh, Thoroughbred, Arabian, and Hackney, as well as other native British ponies like the Fell, Dales, Highland, Dartmoor, and Exmoor. In the early 1900s, the New Forest Pony Breeding and Cattle Society started the original stud book. In addition to the ponies bred in the forest, there are now also private studs and breeders around the world. But the breed is currently on the watch list of the Rare Breeds Survival Trust. Average height is between 12 and 14.2. They can be a wide variety of colors and are most commonly bay, brown, and gray. Known for their kind nature, these hardy ponies are intelligent and strong. They can be ridden by both children and adults, making them an ideal family pony. They have proven their versatility over and over again, as they are used for everything from long-distance riding to dressage to gaming and even driving.
That's awesome.
Yay, I want to live in a place with wild ponies.
I know. Why don't we?
I don't know. It's a common ground, so they just can roam wherever.
Yeah.
In these little villages.
Right.
I mean, it wouldn't be safe where I'm at right now, but mom keeps seeing this place running with horses, and I, around here you got to fence them in so they don't end up getting hit by traffic. But man, to live in a place with wild sheep and wild ponies is like heaven.
I know.
Heaven on earth.
So Judy on Facebook corrects me and says Elon has been diagnosed with Asperger's. people have been praying for him to be saved. Of course, we've been praying for him to be saved. I think I may have heard something about that, but I totally forgot. So thank you for that reminder. If that is why he speaks funny, then I take back what I said. I don't think it is, though, because I think he's been talking that way like his whole life. It seems like every video I've ever seen of him, he talks like that. But still, yes, definitely praying for Elon to be saved.
Mom says Elon does not run his companies. He's just the face. He's just a facade. He works for the Defense Department, FBI, and CIA. But because it is private, the government can do things they, as the government would, be illegal, like going out into space. The people do not want to pay for this, and it's unconstitutional. Facade has multiple meanings, including from the front of a building and the false appearance.
So Susie Wiles, who I can't stand, and I believe that she's really terrible, awful person. She has limited Trump's purportedly, everyone is saying Elon, access to Trump, direct access, which seems very strange to me that she would be able to have that kind of control without asking Trump. So I'm not sure how much I believe that, but like all the mainstream, mainstream truthers are saying as much. So before we finish up our show here, I do want to remind you guys. So yesterday we went to a phenomenal place. If anyone lives local to Ohio and you would like something fun to do, we went to the Delhi Whodunit with Jeff Winch. I'm going to be putting a video out either late tonight or probably tomorrow. We did a little interview with him. And so I want to encourage you guys, if you ever want something fun, it's an escape room where you go and solve a mystery. And in order to get out, you have to solve the mystery. And of course, you want multiple people. And we took our family, and it was just a phenomenal time.
It was fun.
We laughed so hard.
Yeah.
My cheeks were hurting. We had an absolute blast. So that will be coming out soon. And I want to encourage anybody that lives in the Ohio area to put that on your list. The Delhi Whodunit. Contact Jeff and schedule a time to go over. And he now has a new room, a Western themed one. One is kind of a Perry Mason detective theme mystery. And then there's the Western one, which was really, really fun. So that's exciting. This past week, Brave the Dark came out on the 24th. And I've seen several of you who are my personal friends on Facebook have gone to see it, and you have been moved. And I'm very, very excited about that. So if you missed our interview with Nate Dean and Derek Diener of Angel Studios' latest film, Brave the Dark, you can watch that obviously on our Rumble channel. This coming week, tomorrow actually, this will not affect you. This won't affect you till next Monday.
I'm very excited.
We're going to interview Audrey Warner of Matthew 18 Ministries. That's the Millstone Ministry. And Rhonda Miller of Purple for Parents here in Indiana. So we're very excited about that. So you can look forward to Monday's Outliers. This week, Leah and I have done several videos. Yeah. Words from God, just different things. I'm telling you, God is on the move. So I want you to be excited, but also Lee and I like to talk about having a check valve, like a spiritual check valve. So be excited about what God's doing, but make sure that you're guarding your heart and stay in the spirit. Keep rebuking the devil, because we're discovering more and more and more, as much as these are like direct energy weapons and things like that. At the root of all of these things, it's demonic. So I want you to go and check out the video that we just did. Was it yesterday? That something is being brought forth.
We felt something
was
really
brought forth on January 24th.
Yeah.
And I'm still standing by that. We got several confirmations from the Lord on that. And then the comments even back of other people have been like, yes, I actually have been experiencing those same things. Somebody left a comment that they had experienced something similar on the 23rd. Leah's going to look that up and pull it up when you read it. But Leah and I, if you're just following us on, some of these other platforms and you're coming for our regular shows, you might miss the in-between things that we do throughout the week, which is why I try to remind you. Go ahead, Leah. We can read that comment.
Yeah, so
this is from Mr. Anderson on YouTube.
God took me to Ezekiel 1-9. I heard the sound of a large tree breaking, cracking, and then falling down. As I was watching the inauguration, like an old oak, I saw a massive prison cage that was hanging up over the White House, being held in place by chains, perhaps being lifted off for a time with the potential to be placed down sometime in the future. Ezekiel was faced with the people who left God for many other idols and filled his temple with vile things. He placed them into exile, as he had sent Ezekiel to be a warning to them. They became foreigners in a foreign land. God pursued them to cause them to not abandon their God, but to turn back to him. He used Ezekiel in an odd manner, though, instruction to bring the message forth. And so I would say this, and for those of you prayer intercessors that we do have that watch our show, we appreciate your prayers for us. I think about these things when we randomly do, hey, let's take on China or Elon Musk or like this is not
Sex
something that
trafficking.
you do lightly. And as we are bringing forth this word, I was talking about this with Michelle last night before we went to bed. I said, just want to encourage you that Bevel and Betty said that they were in a they were in war mode the 3 months while she was in jail. And, we went to the escape room and it was kind of fun. And we don't do fun as much as we just do life. And I know why, and I know it seems a little strange, but if I look at the world where we're at in a spiritual lens, then somebody has to fight the bad guys. So somebody has to fight the Elon Musks and the Klaus Schwabs and the AI. And the word the Lord gave me on the church today, and God bless people who go to church, and God bless certain churches. Haha. I just got this kind of random word, which was, we got a lot going on here. The American church did not teach you how to pray, how to discern, how to deliver the captives, or how to speak truth about evil. They teach you how to be nice. They teach you how to get a good job, pay your taxes, and support the public education. I remember my youth leader, God bless his soul, Keith, he rah-rah-rah'd all public schools and rah-rah-rah'd their football teams and rah-rah-rah'd, rah-rah-rah, okay? They are a tool of impotency, though. Love you, Keith. Yes, they do some good, okay? Yes, they are a place of refuge for many a weary traveler. They are there rescuing some from all of the sinking ships, but they don't have any idea how to stop the enemy from blowing holes in all of the ships. And then they steer families often to the line of enemy fire, and then they try to help them, or it's almost like Russian roulette. If your family's going to get hit with fentanyl, if your family's going to be hit with an abortion or an unwanted pregnancy or a liberal child or a person stuck on pornography or something, some bad sickness, it's kind of like a lot of the things, that I don't remember anybody ever telling me to farm or grow my own food or stay away from chemicals or, the big thing when I was growing up was eat whole wheat bread, and that was it. That was the health thing, wasn't it? Like that was the health thing. And so like if the church missed the food pyramid, if the church missed natural farming, if the church missed, the fact that daycare is evil and nobody says anything about it in church, like mothers, your children need you from at least ages 1 to 3. Like you need to, like, we're going to do everything we can to make sure your marriage is sound. Your husband's making enough money that you don't have to put please, women, and the church missed it. Like they're not getting prophetic words or telling people these babies need to be held or they're going to have attachment syndrome and they're not going to, be able to deal well with things later in life. The church missed it, and people went to church. They did all the good things, and then bad things happened. So, yeah, that's the word I got.
Okay, that's a good word. Patriot Gallery says you have to wonder what men who work for the government and program the computer direct energy weapons or smart meters and what goes through their minds to start fires, burn homes, and kill innocent people. Who is carrying out the orders and who is giving the orders? That's such a great question, Mom.
America's Hamas.
America's Hamas. That's true. That's a really good point. I guess to me, back to your word, Leah, the church did miss it. But we're not missing it now. And that's why I want you guys to be excited. And I'm so glad that you tune into Resistance Chicks. And I hope that you value the fact that Leah and I we're not just your regular news program. You don't come here and watch the Botox girls with the fake eyelashes that just, prim and proper and report on the news and this, that, and the other, like with fake chest implants. Like we are real and we are bringing you the power of God and we're hopefully bringing you answers. And so I would ask that you share, that you comment, that you not just, like Leah said, praying for us is great. Thank you so much for praying for us, but to continue to pray for the things that we're bringing you. Walk out the authority that we are trying to show you that you have with the power of God. Don't just tune into the news programs. Tune into our Tuesdays and Wednesday shows where I believe that we are equipping the saints for the work of the ministry, meaning we are giving you the tools to be able to stop the things that we report on Fridays and Sundays, right? So you guys have just been such a great encouragement. I love all the comments. Thank you for everybody that donates every single month. You guys are amazing. We've now made a new way to do so. If you go to resistancechicks.com and click on the support Resistance Chicks, it's a little black square with a gold circle around it, or you can go to shop.resistancechicks.com and click on the donate button, or on your cell phone, just scroll down to the bottom. We made that available because there were a lot of you that were like, I don't like PayPal, and I totally get it. So that's now there. Just yesterday, we had our first order for an inscribed Founders Bible. So reminder, if you would like
on the website,
on our website, on shop.resistancechicks.com, because I just added that a couple of weeks ago, or like a week and a half ago. If you want an inscribed Founders Bible, meaning Leah and I will pray over it and we will, sign it for you and give you a little blessing, you can get that now on shop.resistancechicks.com. If you're just wanting Founders Bibles, by all means, just go to thefoundersbible.com, thefoundersbible.com. Both places, whether it's our website or thefoundersbible.com, use promo code Resistance Chicks and you'll save 20% on that Bible or on your Bibles at the checkout. So I wanted to make sure that we were giving you the same discount that you'll get at thefoundersbible.com. Remember that when you go to thefoundersbible.com and you get a case of Bibles, the more Bibles you buy, the more you save so that you can give them away. It's like getting them for free, especially when you add our discount to that. So just totally phenomenal. Like I mentioned the other day, I think it's probably going to be in like the end of the week or something, I'm going to do a Valentine's discount. So don't go to shop.resistancechicks.com and buy anything right now. Just wait for the discount. We're going to go ahead and do it for everybody that's been wanting to buy stuff from the Resistance Chicks shop. We will do a Valentine's Day discount, not because we are encouraging the corporate holiday, but because I think that these are the perfect things to get your wife, and it's a great excuse. Or yourself. And you can take advantage of it. So hold off on that. I am so excited about where God is taking us. And so I want to say a little prayer. God, we just thank you for what you're doing in our nation. Regardless of Elon Trump or Elon Trump, listen to me. Elon Musk or Donald Trump. Elon Trump. Regardless of all these people and what they are doing in their plans, we know that your plans will be the reason that the church rejoices. And we know that your plans will be materialized. And so I thank you that we are sending the demonic hordes of AI and the fiat currency and central bank digital currencies back to the pit of hell where they belong. And we are decreeing and declaring that America is a nation run not just by the people, for the people, and of the people, but by God, for God's people. And I just thank you so much that we have an opportunity to expand the kingdom of God every single day. Amen. That we wake up, and this nation and your nation, regardless of whether you live in America or in South Sudan, I don't care where you live, your ground and every place that you take, that your foot treads, you claim it for the kingdom of God. And we will see not just America made great again, but we're going to see all of these nations expand the kingdom. We're going to plant the flag of the kingdom of God where you live. And just like Leah and I prayed on our show yesterday, it doesn't matter where you live. We wanted you guys to do a shout out. Where do you live? We're going to claim it, and we're going to take it back for the kingdom of God. And we are doing that. And we're going to see in our lifetime a manifestation of the goodness and the holiness and the purity of God take a resurgence in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Sherry says, let's see, 7 inches. That is why I like watching you guys. You do not pull any punches and say it the way that things are. Sherry says, yes, love the honesty and openness. Barry says, Sherry, how's your mom doing? And then Sherry says she's progressing well. She felt a little twinge in her left hand the other day. She still can't use it, but she is determined to get stronger. I helped her walk to the restroom because she's tired of the wheelchair. Sherry's mom had a stroke, so we just lift up Sherry's mom, and I just thank you that she's getting her strength back and that she is going to have that stroke reversed. I always go back to what Pete Santilli said, Lord, reverse it. So we just ask you, Father God, to reverse the curses on everybody that's listening right now. And we rebuke the devourer. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. We will see you guys on Tuesday for Healing for the Fractured Soul. Yes. Is that our next planned show?
Part 2.
You know what? Actually, I'm going to sign off quickly here so that I can get today's show posted, and then we can get ready for tonight's final revival. I wasn't able to stream Harvest Revival's first night because we were doing our Friday show. Last night we streamed it and I wasn't here. I think there was a little echo in the audio for the first little bit, but Patriot Galley got it worked out. Thank you, Mom. But tonight I will go ahead and stream the final Night of Revival at Harvest Revival Center on our Facebook and our Rumble. Neil Peterson is speaking tonight. So I'm looking forward to hearing from Neil after his 21-day fast. This is the culmination of his 21-day fast. The start of their revival was on the 24th. There goes that. You know, we're talking about those types of things. What are the different things that happened leading up to the 24th and the confirmation of that show that we did? That was one of them. And Neil's fast. And so I'm looking forward to that. So if you don't have anything to do tonight, and you would like to be surrounded by the Resistance Chicks family in chat and worship together and listen to a phenomenal message of revival, we will be live streaming night 3 of Harvest Revival Center's Revival with Pastor Neil Peterson. So super excited about that. And if you live anywhere close enough, I would encourage you to go to harvestrevival.center, get their address, and just go in person. It starts at 6:30 tonight. So 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. And then on Tuesday night, we love you. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. Leah, great show. Under 3 hours. Can't believe it. I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm going to go maybe make a snack. All right. Bye, guys. Take care.